That's right. We got a show for you guys tonight. The audience is pumped. The panel is extraordinarily pumped. I'm telling you, we just had a great pre-show. Guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. And I got to say, I just want to take a few moments here while everybody kind of just shuffles in. I want to say shout out to the great Noof Nukem and everybody over there at Gaming After Dark. And shout out to the great Blaze 4K, Big Cloud over at Solidcast, man. I got a chance to podcast with all these great individuals this week, and I saw a lot of you guys that are here on CrossFire over there in the chat supporting me, and picked up some new fans, I think, some new people who got a chance to hear me talk and go over some gaming topics. It's been a hell of a week, guys, you know? I mean, I just can't say thanks enough. I'm humbled. If you'll take a second here, guys, and please consider hitting that like button right there. You'll see a subscribe button. Your name comes up. Who doesn't want to see their name in lights? It's what we all dream of, right? Our 15 seconds. But nonetheless, if you'll look right above that fantastic description, there's a join button. And you'll hear me call out each one of these Mooch Maniac family members because they just mean so much to me. These are people that I talk to on a daily basis. They're always in the DMs. They're always on PlayStation. They're always on Xbox. They're always hitting me up with a chat. And it just means so much to have these people that support this channel and make it better and better every week. With that being said, let me go ahead and call these individuals out one by one. The Great Sir X-Man, JudaZuk, WoolleyGamer, Frostbite Slash, MumbleRanting Gaming, Tyson Web 509, TrueWiddy, Ashish Rana, which I believe was the old Night Ripper 7. I'm not sure. Night Ripper, let me know if that's you. Big Chuck 777, Alphonso Carter, BRAP, Jamie, Damion, the great Jimmy Harrison, who's here. He is here. Andy Hart, DadOfWar, Isaac Gentry, our major Mooch Maniacs. SlaynChilean is back home. Thank you for coming back home. FAKEManBearPig is here. Gaming with Persona. Jay Bari. By the way, shout out to both of them who do a great show every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. What's up, PlayStation? You guys might have heard of it. Domino Zero, SupremeSamurai, Who Are You 5? Your boy Roy, also in the chat. Smokes 901, Tactical Gamer, Donnell Brown, That Guy Spinny, 4-Star Drano, Brian B, a.k.a. Delirium Blades, who's going to help me slowly piece together my new PC build end of this year, early next, and VIP Mooch Maniacs, Fork Boy Gaming, who's also back home, Shadow Assassin, Strictly, which you guys might be hearing from Strictly Gaming in just a little while, and the wise old gamer, also outstanding to podcast with him this week. And our honorable mentions, we miss you guys. You're out there without food, water, or toilet. Come home quick. The Great Percolator 9000, Marty Bison, Olamoka 17, CJ UK, Remarkable Nights, Zambila Ice Cream, what happened? And Forever Mooch Maniac, Longshot 316. Guys, as everybody kind of shuffles in, please, again, let everybody know we are live. And it is an honor, okay, to have back our resident legal counsel from Redmond himself. Redmond, that's an expensive ticket. We don't have that kind of money at CrossFire, but he's here for you. The Xbox defense lawyer's back. Xbot 448. Xbot, how you doing tonight, buddy? He's great. Jimmy's great. It is, isn't it, Xbot? It really is. Yeah, I appreciate that, Xbot. I really, really do. This gentleman needs absolutely no, you know, it's funny, no introduction at all. And I believe he's been approached by Budweiser, Coors Light, and Samuel Adams after last week's show, the Great Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, now known as Phil Ryan Cook. No one's safe tonight. BRAP is on the show. BRAP, how you doing tonight, buddy? Maybe I shouldn't have gone with those labels. I apologize.
For the peasants. Those are for the peasants.
I just fixed it. Sorry about that, Xbot. I didn't have sound, but it is fixed.
Nothing.
The sound is fixed, guys. My apologies. Shout out to Jimmy Harrison,
Oh,
and shout out to X. I want to say real quick, no, they heard me. For some reason, that thing was muted on the left-hand side. I don't like how OBS now does this thing. When I launch it has everything muted, and I'm not used to that. Everyone's back, guys. I apologize. You'll hear everybody now. By the way, I want to say this much. Let me say this. I want to say Xbot448 did an outstanding job of saying just how great it is to have everybody that's here in the chat, that watches next podcast, and no matter how you feel, Xbot, I hope I do what you said justice here. You know, you can go to Twitter and hang out with this great community, and they really do lift any kind of spirits, no matter how you're feeling, Xbot. I agree.
It has been so entertaining the past couple of weeks, man. Like, they have made my work days, my 12-hour shift work days go by so much quicker. So shout out to you guys that are out there on Twitter, you know, with your raw emotion and what's going on out there. Shout out to you guys and your tweets, man. I really appreciate it. And
that's what Xbot said. So Xbot, thank you for reiterating that, and my apologies for this unbelievable mixer that just keeps causing frustration. But BRAP, I'm sorry. The good news is they heard the great intros you both got from me, but what they need to know is you do not endorse, apparently, Budweiser or Coors Light.
No, those are terrible beers for the peasants. I don't drink that stuff.
He's so brutal.
I drink the high-end stuff, man. Come on, man. I don't bust my ass at work. And
well, you know what, though? But Budweiser, Coors pay the big bucks for the deals. That's why I thought you would want the big bucks.
Well, I mean, they do, but you know what? Not for me, man.
It's
not for me.
Contract's a contract. You know what I mean, BRAP?
But I'll say this, man. I'll say this, Mooch. I did learn something valuable today on Twitter, as Xbot to eloquently put that there's a lot of entertainment out there. I didn't know this. Look, I've been gaming, 40 years, 4 decades. I've been gaming, lived through multiple console generations when Sega was alive and kicking. I didn't know this, but apparently it's actually Sony and their quote-unquote practices that put Sega out of business. Who knew that? I had no idea.
I didn't
know that either. I learned something new.
You know, I just learned that you're a veteran, BRAP. You are a veteran. You've lived through multiple console wars.
I've seen it all, man. I've seen it all.
Yes.
I'm the George Patton of console wars. No, I've seen.
He lost his
leg
in the Genesis and Nintendo console.
Yes,
war,
yes.
Way back.
It's a war wound. It's a war wound. Yes.
Yeah, the war. Yeah, and then I met Optimus's mom, and it made it all better. So.
Well, there you go. Wow. You know, at least we have a happy ending. There you go. Oh, no pun intended. Oh, geez.
Definitely a happy ending there, Mooch.
Right there, man.
Well, this show just went just above the
PG.
You gotta say pause. On this shit.
There goes the PG. Man. There goes the PG-13 rating. Well, let me go right to the great.
Dude, you're getting demonetized tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I can bet on that, Dark. Let me go with no further. He's got to defend himself, and he's got to be introduced. He represents the whole state himself, even though he thinks I look like New York. Nonetheless, the great Dark Optimus, a.k.a. Goldblum, is back on the show. Goldblum, great to have you here tonight, buddy. How you doing?
Dude, I feel like I'm the last pick of the draft, man, right now. You know? Every time you get me on here, it's always like, it's always, the last minute. You're always like, hey man, can you come on? I feel like you're desperate at that point, when you ask me, you're like, who can I get? Oh, I'll just get Dark. Fuck that guy, but I love him, but
he ain't doing anything.
Dark says, Dark says this every week he's on the show. He couldn't be more wrong. Couldn't be more wrong.
True.
The guy's phenomenal.
I know I'm wrong.
Well,
I'm wrong.
Dark,
but I gotta give you shit about it.
That's fine. That's fine. That's why it's Crossfire. But I gotta be honest with you, Dark. You know what I love about it? When you're on the show, you're also one of those guys that doesn't hold back. That's just something that I admire. You don't sugarcoat it.
That's how
if you don't like it,
man. I don't hold back on anything.
Right.
Your mom's the same way, Optimus.
I've been and your mom just lays there like a dead fish. So.
Jeez. This is how by the way, this is how the intros go with BRAP and Dark. By the way, in case you're new to the show.
Look, Optimus, what do you expect, man? She's on her back all the time. Come on.
Yeah, you are definitely not getting any money tonight, Mooch. I'm sorry,
no,
man.
probably not. Shout out to Blue Bowls. He says, wouldn't be Crossfire if Mooch didn't make his PG-13 to rated R joke. That's right. That joke never gets old. Shout out to the great Zuby Tech who's here. I see a bunch of great people. Want to do a shout out also. Jordan B from SK. I says, everybody hit the like button. He goes, Mooch, it's like taking your shoes off at the door of someone's home. You walk into any type of CrossFire podcast, you hit the like button. It's what we do. The great Jay Bari's here too. And let me tell you something. That's an honor to have Jay here. Because Jay and Persona, okay, these guys game on Friday night. And I always take them away from their gaming session. So to have them here in the chat, I truly appreciate it. Jay, thanks for being here tonight. The great Zuby Tech as well. I see all you guys. Jeff B Gaming. Let me do this. So before we get into all of the conversations, one of our other special panel members that we got on tonight, the great Eric Jackson, is back with us. And I brought a few people in. I've got a few people that I like to call professors tonight. And I'll introduce them in this order. The great Professor Jackson is here. Eric, you are the voice of reason. You're going to have to keep things straight. I hate to put things on you. I'm the host, but I'm putting this on you. Eric, great to have you back tonight, buddy. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm going to try to keep BRAP under control unless he's on that strawberry wine already.
Yeah, keep his ass under control, man.
BRAP, you on that Boone's farm tonight, man?
I don't drink Moons. I haven't done that since high school.
Every get like top shelf.
I'm drinking a local IPA from one of the breweries here in Maryland. So yeah.
Ooh.
That's what I'm drinking.
Well, it's great to see. I love how we know everything that BRAP's eaten or drank in the past 24 hours, right? It's like we're his doctors. This is great. No, but Eric, great to have you here.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Like he's getting a fucking colonoscopy.
Yeah, it's like he's getting a colonoscopy on CrossFire.
Jesus.
I could. You know what? We should do that for CrossFire.
Yes.
I'll go in live camera.
No, please.
BRAP
no.
live.
That's not something we want to see on cam.
No one wants to see that.
So I got another professor
your
here.
mom would watch on.
Oh, stop it! Oh, stop it! Another
4 times. 4 times.
That's nothing.
Hey, she's offered, but I'm like, you're not a doctor.
Jeez. Thank you, BRAP, so much for that. Another professor I want to introduce tonight. The great Chris Righteous is with us, and generally when we get any kind of information on a lot of the Japanese development games, I like to have Chris on. Chris does his homework. He knows exactly what's going on. He always says, I don't comment on things unless I've actually done my research. And Chris is just notorious for knowing what he's saying. Tonight's not necessarily that subject, but I really am interested in what the state of PlayStation is right now, especially what's going on back and forth and how they're kind of putting their foot into the door jam on the whole Activision Xbox deal. The great Chris Righteous is back with us from Planet Xbox and the Saltiest Gaming Podcast. Chris, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? You said the state of PlayStation. Didn't you hear, Mooch? Apparently, I'm a Nintendo now.
No,
according to
well,
Twitter.
Congratulations on your promotion. Is it a promotion or is it a lateral? I don't know, Chris.
I guess it's a demotion according to a lot of other people. But I'm kidding. Yeah, what's up, everybody in the chat, all the panel members, and great to be back. The past month has been fucking phenomenal for me in terms of games. I've beaten like 4 games that have just been mind-blowing to me.
That's what it's all about, Chris. Yes.
Bayonetta 2. I got Splatoon 3 today and playing Astral Chain and shit like that. So it's a lot of fun time for me lately. But yeah, but there's a lot of things with the Sony Activision, thing that's going on that I think I want to clear some things out because there's people that use false equivalencies with like other games that Sony made exclusives or whatever to try to compare it to the Activision.
Exactly,
and I think people
Chris.
need to think things through when they
economies of
say
scale.
that.
You don't say.
Yeah, this is going to be a great episode. Chris, bringing that up gets me excited to get to our first topic. But I have one more professor to announce here. The great Nicholas Downey's back with us. Nick, I got to tell you, it's been so long since you've been on the show, and a lot's going on. First of all, Nick's working his ass off, first of all. Second of all, he's a new dad, okay? Third of all, the guy writes for Iron Lord's podcast. The guy is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable to have his expertise here and also keeps the rational thought alive. The great Nicholas Downey's back. Nick, welcome back to CrossFire, buddy. I know me and you've been trying to get you on for, I'm going to say, as much as Dark goes, I say, oh, what's going on? What's happening? Can you come on the show? Nick, it's been 2 months, and I'm so relieved and happy to have you here tonight. How you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. I just gotta clear the air though with how much BRAP talks about Optimus's mom. It's clear that he enjoys Bush Light, as his beer of choice.
Oh,
Because you cannot claim highbrow alcohol taste with low tier humor. But
yeah. Yeah.
Man.
Fuck you, BRAP.
Somebody get this man some aloe, yo, for that burn right there. That
Yo,
burn.
I'm happy to be here, and if anyone wants to step up to my 6'5" level, I'm more than happy to oblige.
6'5",
Happy
Yeah.
to
you
be
have-
here.
You haven't
That's
met
great.
Adamus's mom. She's 6'7".
oh, geez, there we go.
That's how tall my
Well,
Climb her
yeah.
like a tree.
This might be the tallest podcast I've ever assembled. The great
And-
Eric
and-
Jackson is over
and there's no
6'5"
Bush
as
Light.
well. So this is outstanding.
Yep.
Mooch,
Am I the only one 5'10", bro?
I'm not fighting with the Italians. I was going to say the Italians are holding it down at 5'10". We're 5'10", X-Bot.
Yes.
It's going to have to be
Yes.
okay.
There we go.
Nothing I can
That's
do
the
about
magic
that.
Number. That's
Okay?
the magic number, Mooch.
I
Let's
just want
be
everybody in the audience to know, for an Italian being 5'10", we're called giants.
Adamus is 5'3".
Okay? We are giants in the Italian.
I'm not 5'3", dude. I am 6'3", you fuck.
Are you really, Dark?
Yeah, 6'3".
Yeah.
Are you
Holy
really?
shit!
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
you're the tallest Latino I've ever met in my life.
Well, dude, I got news for you. If we're ever playing
Did you just use
podcast
the
pickup
feminine?
basketball,
Did you
this
just
is
say
the team.
Latina?
This is my team right here. Guys, I want to say, please, again, as we go into this first topic, and I'm going to read a couple of these super chats real quick. Please hit the like button, tweet it out, let them know we're live here in New York. Shout out to the great Jimmy Harrison. He says, Mooch, the best damn podcast host ever. Jimmy, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Just a Kid, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Brooks Andrews from yesterday subscribed also. Eric83 says, Raiders Nation. Well, we'll find out about that on Sunday, my good friend. Tommy Boy 4550 just subscribed. Thank you. Cubini Gaming. He says, I'm a truck driver rolling an I-64 west towards Louisville. Keep me entertained much. Thank you, as always. Cubini Gaming, thank you as well as always supporting the channel. I know you're here every Friday. Thank you. The great Sir X-Man, he says, Atari, ColecoVision, and television, that was a war. And you know what? That was a war. Shout out to Sir X-Man. That was really when it got hard. I'll tell you, and the times even got crazier when you're talking about, I think, with the Sega and Nintendo. That was a long time ago. Dark's always tough. He's tough on the old guys, that Dark. You gotta be careful. And the great Jay Bari, a Mooch Maniac family member, been a member for 5 months. He's got a place in the house. The great Jay Bari, he just makes the who's yelling sounds. That's me. That's me right now. As you can see, BRAP, I got the blood pressure going. So let me go ahead.
Good.
Right? This is great. Let me start with the great Chris Righteous. Chris, I like to put guests on the hot seat first. And the first thing I do want to talk about is the Jim Ryan fires back at Microsoft, fires back kind of at Phil Spencer, and the whole Activision deal. Where are we right now with twofold, Chris? Where are you on the way that you felt how Jim Ryan handled the counter after Phil's statements a week or two ago? And what is it you think also about the whole situation with where PlayStation is right now with the Call of Duty situation? Are they in need of Call of Duty, or is Call of Duty, in fact, in need of PlayStation?
Okay, so honestly, I don't really know how to feel about how Jim Ryan handled it, because to me, I guess he saw that Phil was openly talking about private business matters that was between them.
Right.
Back in January, right? Because Phil had made some type of letter of agreement or some shit like that, right? So
Correct.
And then, Phil came out and said, hey, we don't, we tend to continue Call of Duty even beyond the current existing contracts, right? And whatnot. And then I guess Jim Ryan responded to like, yeah, but you only said it was only gonna be like 3 years and whatnot. So to me, I think Sony really doesn't want to lose Call of Duty off their platform. They really do, because that's the biggest moneymaker. Right, it makes more than their first-party games. It makes more than a lot of other games, and plus Call of Duty. Most of the sales are on PlayStation. I think PlayStation users make up somewhere between 40 to 50%, right, every year, which is around.
For Activision,
which is
or Call
around
of
I don't
Duty,
know
Chris?
what. For Call of Duty, and I think
I think
Activision.
it's over 50.
Okay, over 50. So that's like 12. That's like 12 to 15 million, roughly, right? A year, right? 12 to 15 million sales a year, plus the microtransaction and stuff like that. So they're making a lot of money off of Call of Duty. It's their biggest third-party partnerships that they have, and things like that. So that's why Sony, and I don't blame them for it. They're like, they don't like it, right? So they're gonna try to skew it in a way where it's more negative and it's more like antitrust and anti-competitive and things like that, right? And of course, Microsoft is,
man. I appreciate that. Skew it. That's good word, bro.
yeah. And the same thing with Microsoft as well too, because Microsoft they decided it's like, well, Call of Duty isn't nothing special that they're losing, or if they lose it isn't nothing special.
Too,
yeah, that's not that's not true neither. So yeah, I mean, both to me, I don't really see the issue with either one. And I know, and what I was saying earlier is because a lot of people like to bring up these examples, right? For like these, it's mainly these two examples that I don't know why people always bring up and sort of like a counter to like, well, PlayStation shouldn't be crying about taking games away because they take these games away, right? And the two games that they always bring up is Street Fighter V and Spider-Man, right?
And Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Well, I'll get to Final Fantasy, right? But with Street Fighter V, that game would have never happened if it wasn't for Sony. Sony completely funded that game to be made because Capcom was going down under back then because they were fucking up during the 360. They weren't making a lot of great moves, and a lot of people were pissed off, and they were losing a lot of money and stuff like that. They didn't have enough money to make another Street Fighter, so Sony said, sure, go ahead, we'll fund it or whatever, right? So that's why Street Fighter became an exclusive, right? And I'm pretty sure if Capcom wanted to, they could have brought it 2 years later or something like that for Xbox. The same thing with Square Enix with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Mm-hmm.
They no longer have that exclusive with PlayStation. They can bring it to Xbox, but I think because the other two are exclusive, that they're not going to bring it, right? So Street Fighter V is not a good counterpart that people use up. Another thing is Spider-Man, because it was found out earlier this year that Marvel approached Xbox and Microsoft to make a Marvel game or to make a Spider-Man game.
Thank you, Chris.
And they denied it. They went to Sony. Sony said yes, right? So it's not like, so when people bring up these examples, it's not the same situation as Call of Duty where these were established franchise on, you know what I mean, on Xbox, and all of a sudden Sony said, oh no, we don't want it, you know, and we're gonna pay for it. They do it for other games. You can say that with Final Fantasy, right? Because 13 and 15 became multi-plat. They came on Xbox day one and stuff like that. So if you want to use that example, you could use Final Fantasy. But even then, people need to look into the context of that. The reason why Square can say yes to an exclusive deal with PlayStation with Final Fantasy is because when we look at the sales of Final Fantasy 15, at least when it first launched, right, it was a 90-10 split worldwide. Of 90% of people bought it on PlayStation, only 10% bought it on Xbox. So Final Fantasy isn't really a huge franchise on Xbox that's selling millions and upon millions. That is like it's a big blow to Xbox gamers for not getting it. It's a blow to some. Don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying or whatever. So it's not like a Call of Duty situation. Like I said, you're having 12 to 15 million players on your platform purchase it every single year.
Yes.
Right. You know, and things like that. So personally, for me personally, I hope Microsoft does take it away. Honestly, I hope Microsoft does. I'm pro. Listen, I'm pro exclusive, right? I'm pro exclusive. Not only because it's not because I'm on some fanboy shit. It's because I know exclusives benefit the hardware itself. Because when they focus on less platforms, they're able to raise up the quality of that platform if they hone in on less platforms than trying to make it for everyone. So this is why exclusive are always important, because they're able to shine the platform and stuff like that. And Xbox gamers, you guys want more exclusives and whatnot, right? So I'm pro exclusive. Like if Microsoft said Diablo 4 is exclusive to Xbox, you know, after we buy Activision, guess what? I'm buying an Xbox for Diablo 4. I'm buying an Xbox for Ava and shit like that, right? Like I'm not crying and complaining and stuff like that. So, and this is the same thing with PlayStation whenever they get their exclusives and whatnot. So personally, I think that, yeah, Jim doesn't like it because it's going to hurt their bottom line. And that's what Sony cares about. They mainly care about their bottom line, which is why they raised up the price, but at the same time came up with a new model that's even cheaper to produce.
Yes,
so they care about so they care about their bottom line, and they don't want to, and they could potentially lose a lot of that if Call of Duty goes away. But personally, I don't think. And answer your final question, then I'll let somebody go. If Call of Duty does goes away on PlayStation, PlayStation will take a hit. Well, hold on, but they will take a hit, right? But like I said, it's 12 to 15 million players on PlayStation that buys Call of Duty every year. PS4 sold 170 million. So even if you take all of those players away, which a lot of them probably not going to abandon their PlayStation, right? That's still over 100 million people that bought a PlayStation that not for Call of Duty. So it's not going to be that big of a hole or big of a setback that some people think and make it out to be. It's going to be a setback. It's going to be a big blow to them, right? But not no killing blow. And oh my God, it's doom and gloom for Sony, and they're just going to go. Nah, it's going to be nothing.
Well,
like
you know,
that.
and I want to go.
Right there.
I want to go to the great Eric Jackson here, but Capone, you know, Capone, I'm a big fan of Capone. He's here every week. Capone, but the thing is you're asking a question after Chris Righteous just answered that question. He says, why isn't Spider-Man the same as a comparison? He already just told you why Spider-Man was not. Chris, would you mind saying again why? Or Eric, would you like to chime in? One of you guys want to chime in and tell him why Spider-Man?
I'm gonna jump in and help Chris,
please,
because,
go ahead.
Because here's the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, people keep throwing the Spider-Man thing out there, right? And like Chris answered, Microsoft had the opportunity to do that, and here we'll get into the
we don't know if
the
it was
money.
Spider-Man because of the
the
whole thing
Marvel.
It was a Marvel movie. Yeah,
it was a Marvel thing,
game.
and not Spider-Man specifically. But the fact is, they were approached to take on that because guess what? These are licenses that anybody can grab and do something with it. They want to put the money up. I did footwear for Marvel for a company. They bought the license to use it for an exclusive period of time. Any company can do that. That license has changed. Microsoft had the ability to do it. They didn't think it was important, right? So I never can understand why Xbox gamers are never upset with the management at Xbox for not doing that. Because even to this point, maybe it's not Spider-Man, but they can go and get any number of Marvel licensed characters or comic characters to make an exclusive game with.
Daredevil, let's go.
Yeah, Xbox, they could do that.
I would love.
But it is not an apples and oranges comparison to say that. Well, they kept Spider-Man away, and Spider-Man is a universal character. Yeah, and a lot of companies use Spider-Man and license Spider-Man for their specific thing. Sony saw the opportunity, they did it, they brought it in-house and made it a first party.
Yes.
Yeah, the same
Call of
thing.
Duty is
The same
something
thing.
completely different.
Well, Ultimate Alliance, right? Ultimate Alliance 3 would not happen if Nintendo didn't fund and publish it. That's why it's a Switch exclusive.
Right, and Chris, same as Bayonetta. No. People are like, well, what's up with that? Well, nobody was doing it, but Nintendo stepped in and said, hey, we'll fund it and we'll do it. Same thing like you said with Street Fighter. So again, Phil and the team decided that it wasn't in their best interest to do an exclusive superhero game. And they can still do it now because they have the Juggernaut pockets. Hey, make a Juggernaut game. They can do it. They have the dough to do whatever they want to do. They made the decision that wasn't the route that they wanted to go. So no, Spider-Man is not at all the same as Call of Duty. But to back up what Chris is saying too, I'm almost at a point where in the console war side of it, not that I'm going to get myself involved in it, but take the damn game away at this point.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
No, I'm starting to feel that way too, Eric. I'm starting to feel that way too.
Because of this, Chris is right. Will it be a killing blow? Which I know that's what fanboys on Twitter want for whatever reason. They seem to want this thing to happen, even if they don't care to play Call of Duty. They just want it for the list.
Yeah, most of the people Eric, that argue all the time online, I know they don't even play Call of Duty.
Right, they want it for the list war. So when you have a Jim Ryan speaking back because he saw Phil speaking or whatever, all you're seeing is two executives, just different sides of the pillow. And, you know, people have this thing where, well, Phil's the nice guy and Jim's the villain. It's like, no, they're executives. Self-preservation is the number one thing that all these companies run on. In particular, the guys at the top of these companies, they run on self-preservation because why? You make a lot of dough. The more you make shareholders happy, the more dough you make. And while you're there in that position, that's what you're going to try to do. So Phil may come hat in hand like a Bible salesman, but at the end of the day, he's still practicing self-preservation. He's going to do what's best for the bottom line and whatever plan he and Satya have developed to go forward. Jim's going to go, bottom line is, Call of Duty makes a lot of dough for us. I need to do whatever I can to keep that here, but it is not the end-all, be-all.
That's right. That's right.
And eventually, everything that is on top falls. Call of Duty is still on top, has been for a very long time, but it will not be in perpetuity because it already has games coming behind it, or in some cases on level with it, taking away that attention. Right?
Yes.
So,
well, Eric,
take it away. Wait, hold on, Xbox. Let me finish and I'll throw it back to you. So move it. Take it away. Do what you got to do. It is on Microsoft to now deal with whatever blowback may come from taking that away from other customers. Maybe that means some people will come over from PlayStation. Maybe it doesn't. I'm kind of like where Chris is. Some people may move. Most people are like, I'll find something else to do. But now Sony, guess what? If they take it away, you lose that revenue. Fight. Do what you got to do. You've been around for 25 plus years, dominating. Go dominate. Do something else.
Go flex and do something else.
You should not be out here acting as if Call of Duty is the end all be all. Now that's where as an executive, I'm like, fuck them dudes. I'm not saying that.
Oh, they need Call of Duty supposedly, but when it comes down to it, first off, when I saw
right,
that,
they don't, but no.
In January they put out this whole 3-year thing. Like Mooch, you know me, I was stating this from the beginning. It would make no sense to make Call of Duty exclusive when there's so much revenue there, keeping it multi-plat. And also, if there's a way to put it on the Switch, that's even more revenue. That's more people playing the game. And you're
that's
just
what Brad Smith
money.
for Microsoft, one of their legal, said that Xbox. That was what they were implying that. So this 3-year thing is quite. Do you think the 3-year thing is just until contracts renew, Xbox?
Well, see, that's the funny thing. A lot of people think that like after those 3 years, they're talking about just making Call of Duty exclusive. Like I don't see it that way. I look at it as after 3 years, now like Xbox has a bargaining chip to come to the table with, and possibly get other things done with PlayStation in return, with keeping Call of Duty on the PlayStation platform as well. Like everybody just automatically is like, oh man, well after those 3 years, that shit's gonna be exclusive. Oh, look at that. They are coveting Call of Duty and the big names within Activision Blizzard for Game Pass. We've said it on the panel how many times on Friday. They're all in on Game Pass. So who's to say that they, after those 3 years, that they were automatically like, this is just going to be on the Xbox platform and PC? And that's not that. I don't read it like that. I read it like, okay, let's go back to the table.
Xbox,
and negotiate.
Xbox, this question goes for you because you, Eric, and Chris are kind of on the same page here. But the great Zuby Tech. And Zuby says, and I'm interested what you guys think about this. Zuby says, sorry, no studio publisher in the world can go toe-to-toe with Activision Call of Duty Studios and Network, not even PlayStation. And Zuby's a big PlayStation guy. He thinks that Activision may be that one brand, or Call of Duty may be that one brand, Eric, or Xbox, that may be the tough one for them to combat.
In the multiplayer, in the multiplayer realm, yes, they probably can't go against Activision Call of Duty. But here's the thing: Microsoft would be fucking stupid to leave that money on the table. Money on the table.
That's what Xbox is saying. That's what Xbox is saying.
It would be completely stupid for the money.
Right,
for the money.
But it'd also be stupid for this image that they have worked tirelessly to present, that they are the customer service friendly company.
Exactly.
You know what a funny thing is here? Like people were talking about, with the whole Spider-Man thing, people were talking about, well, Disney approached Xbox in terms of a superhero game or whatnot. If you look at the history of what was going on between Xbox and Activision was shopping themselves around, and Microsoft was the best deal. All right, like so that's not saying that they didn't approach Sony either and be like, hey, what can
I think they even approached Nintendo. I think they even approached Nintendo, and Nintendo was like, no.
Why is it all on Xbox and stuff like that when Activision was shopping themselves around and Xbox and Microsoft gave them the best deal?
You know why, Xbox? It's all fanboy fodder. That's what it is, dude. You know that's exactly what it is. It's just people on Twitter talking shit because they can, because they're hiding behind a keyboard.
How dare you make an offer that reached so high that, like, most other companies can't touch.
Xbox,
how dare you?
They can't help that they have money. They can't do it. like just because another company doesn't have money doesn't mean that they have to cater to that other company.
You know what else too? It's just because you have the money to spend doesn't mean you should spend all the money.
Right. That's true.
Because too, some companies sit back and look at,
that wouldn't be if you're in charge and Activision Blizzard came up to you and was like, hey, what do you got? And you were able to spend that money, you leading Xbox, you wouldn't say, hey, here's what I got. Like you wouldn't.
No, I'm not saying you don't. You do whatever you need to do, but all people keep seeing is this list war thing, and they don't realize the logistics and headaches that come along with that. So some companies are, do we want the headache of that? Do we need that? For Microsoft, they're doing everything they can.
Need that.
Again,
no, but we need $70 billion though.
But that's what I think what Eric is saying, and I agree with you, E, is that does this M&A make sense for us from a strategic perspective? Is it going to allow us to achieve whatever our objectives are as an organization? And so sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Sometimes it may sound good, but you may have the money to do it. But if it doesn't make sense strategically, you're not going to do it.
Right.
And so that definitely makes sense to
because honestly, I'm sure we'll get into this later too. But from a management perspective, do they look like right now the company that can manage
Not right
all
now.
this stuff that they're doing.
Not right now.
That's a
No.
big
Not right
question
now.
mark.
But who knows? You know, that's the thing. Like Xbox definitely does have something to prove in a way.
Yep.
Not everything, but yes, there is lines there where they have to prove what they can do, and that's the problem. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna get into the whole Halo thing because you know that's a whole nother mess. But you know, it's just like we have to look at it this way. Like Activision went to Xbox, went to all these other companies, and Xbox was the one that gave them the best deal.
Yeah.
And the trade the FTC and the UK are looking into it to see if it's a fair deal. And if they think it's a fair deal, there's nothing that we can do or say
No,
that is going
absolutely.
to change their mind. You know?
Absolutely. So, you know,
Yeah,
Shane,
And I do
It goes
think the
back-
deal. I do
it goes
think
back
that
to-
the deal is ultimately going to go through. So all these fanboys that are tweeting at the CMAs and what are you doing?
I know,
You
that's
guys are-
ridiculous.
Bro, they're literally doing their
That is
job.
so
It's not
ridiculous.
a,
Yeah.
it's not a conspiracy that they're PlayStation fans running at the CMA. They're literally just doing their job and doing a thorough check because this is a
Right.
huge. This is like the biggest gaming acquisition ever.
It is.
And
It
in
is.
the end-
Right.
in
And
the
it's-
end-
So they have to do their job to check that stuff.
in the end,
Yeah.
Jim Ryan is doing what he needs to do for his job as well. At any point he can, he's trying to throw a wrench in the deal and
Mhm.
trying to get people to kind of see it from the PlayStation perspective as well as they're investigating and looking into this. So he's doing his job. Phil Spencer's doing his job. Like everybody's doing their job.
Well, you know, Xbox, I appreciate you saying that because that's
And
why when
Mooch,
everybody's like, well,
yeah.
Jim Ryan looks like he's crying, he's doing this and that. I'm like,
No,
this is the
Mooch.
time for Jim. This is
He
He's
the
a businessman.
but this
He's
is the
got to
time
do
for-
that.
This is the time for him to
Mooch.
object. Go ahead, Brap.
And Mooch, you know what
Yeah,
they're saying?
I was
They're saying
yeah.
they're saying it on Twitter while he's in the boardroom doing boardroom executive
Right,
shit.
he's doing
While they're on
boardroom
Twitter.
executive
Yeah,
activity.
and-
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
Dairy Queen screaming
Yeah.
about it.
Thank you, Eric.
Yeah, and while he's getting paid mighty heavily than the people
Yes,
that are
he
crying.
is.
That he's,
Yes, he
Right,
is.
exactly.
Look, Jim Ryan's not a stupid person.
He's not.
He's well educated. I mean, he knows the fuck he's doing. He gets paid a lot of money to do what he does. So does Phil Spencer. They're not dumb people.
No.
There's not dumb people running these companies. So we could throw that nonsense out the window. But
Right.
the one thing I was going to say, like, no one should be surprised by this. Like what Xbox saying, like Jim Ryan's doing what he needs to do. Phil Spencer's doing the same thing. If anyone was paying attention to Tim Sweeney, I think it was this past summer or whenever that lawsuit between them and Apple. I mean, Tim Sweeney was going bonkers on Twitter, on Twitter, like calling Apple everything but like Optimus's mom. I mean, like it was,
Oh, geez.
it was.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
He's got to
well,
throw that in there.
I did. But no, I mean,
Because Nick tore him down earlier. That's what it is. He
look,
can't handle it.
well, look, no, but no one should be surprised by that. I mean, if you go back and look at Tim Sweeney, go back and look at the Apple lawsuit against Samsung when Apple sued Samsung for basically copying the iPhone. That was their lawsuit. And they even came out with models. One of the arguments that Apple presented in this lawsuit was that Samsung didn't have to make a rectangular shaped phone. They could have used other. No, they did, and they did mock-ups. I mean, like it was crazy. It's like what? Like, but this is what these. Yeah, I don't really.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Xbox. It's not
Make
even
a
like it's not
sphere.
even an
It could be a
exaggeration.
sphere.
Yeah, it could be a sphere. Like it could be a square, a triangle phone. But no, these companies are going to do things to.
You can't have a patent on the design. I'm sorry, you just can't.
Well, I mean, that was kind of Apple's argument.
Wow.
Yeah. So these things, I mean, like, you know, these things aren't new. You know, I think what's happening is that we're kind of seeing behind the scenes, especially if you don't follow other industries outside gaming, you're kind of getting a perspective in terms of how M&As work. The CMA stuff, like someone said that, you know, some of the stuff I was seeing that they're Sony fanboy. That's just nonsense. Like, let's stop with the conspiracy theories and pushing disinformation. That's just stupid.
That's all fanboy. That's all fanboy.
Yeah,
shit. Like,
that's just
same with
dumb.
the dude, like, you know, tweeting out to to these governing bodies and stuff, and that's all the extremist mentality when it comes down to it. And
The way
But-
to invest
It's-
mentality. That's my.
it's the
Way
thing.
Yeah, no, it really is. Yeah.
It's the thing, Jim Ryan felt like he saw an opening. All right, Phil Spencer came out and said something and tried to make it look extra good for his side. You know, multiple years. You know, even though what he sent over was 3 years when it came down to it. And again, 3 years, that doesn't mean after 3 years it was going exclusive. It's like, okay, now we got this bargaining chip. What do you have that we can negotiate with here? What new kind of like deal can we get started? I really feel like that was it at the end of the day. But Phil Spencer tried to make himself look really, really good. And, you know, on the opposite side, Jim Ryan's going to be like, no, like he was not thinking about the PlayStation gamers. And that was the funny thing. It's like, why does Phil need to think about the PlayStation gamers when it comes down to this? Like he has.
Well,
what about the
so
kids?
that's-
What about the kids?
What about the kids?
That's the irony of this whole thing for Jim Ryan. I kind of laughed when I read Jim Ryan's comments. I'm like, Jim, like you guys for the last 25 years have been locking down exclusives. And to Chris Reich's point earlier about, you know, people comparing, like I've seen people put up the lists of Forspoken, which we don't know anything about, by the way, if that's going to be a good game. Final Fantasy. Chris mentioned the sales rate, the attach rate for that franchise on the Sony favoring Sony platform. Again, Square Enix is going to make business decisions that favor them. So if their game is selling better on the Sony platform, they're probably more inclined to do business with Sony because it makes them money. And you know, it's the Spider-Man thing. Like, yeah, Spider-Man's a big, you know, intellectual property in the gaming space. So it's not this. It doesn't have the same zeitgeist as Call of Duty does. You can look at the revenue numbers from Call of Duty compared to Spider-Man. It's not even the same. Like, there's not many games that have the impact from a financial perspective that COD has. Maybe NBA 2K does, GTA. And then what's it?
People.
Well, let me do
this. 2K, yeah.
What I want to do is
And then Mooch. Oh, I was going to say something.
Finish your thought, BRAP. I'll let you finish your thought, and then I was going to do some super chats, and I want to get Nick in here.
Yeah, well, there's another thing that I was going to bring up too, and again, this is a theory that I tweeted out, but I'm not the one who came up with this theory. That this was actually Hamp, the artist formerly known as Game Logic. And E, I think you saw this too. Hamp thinks that this has to do with what he calls the PlayStation crossplay revenue leakage protection policy. If you guys remember, Sony's, this came out during the Epic Apple lawsuit that Sony charges, for cross-platform revenue sharing. And he thinks that this 3-year thing that they're talking about is potentially tied into that, where, you know, if COD remains cross-platform, he seems to think that the revenue share is part of that current 3-year deal, and maybe Microsoft has agreed to the 3 years, but Jim wants a little bit more of that. They can maybe offset that potential revenue loss. So that's kind of interesting because we know about this. We know that Sony charges. I think if a game's crossplay is not commensurate with 85% of the player base, Sony gets some kind of cut or something. I don't remember all the details.
Yeah, I did read that.
They get money.
Yeah,
they get
money. Correct.
Yeah, they get money. Yeah, so he thinks that could be part of this. So, and that kind of goes back to Xbox saying about negotiating.
It absolutely could be.
Yeah.
Also, with again negotiating, a chip to negotiate or whatnot. We've heard things about Sony, in deals with other games, basically putting it in writing that not to be put on other gaming subscription services and stuff. And we all know what they're talking about when it comes to that. They're talking about Game Pass and stuff. And again, Xbox has a bargaining chip at the end of all this to say, hey, so about your policies with that. You really want this game on your console. It's so much.
But see, when you say it like that, Xbox, and I'm gonna parlay this right into Nick. Nick, I want to get your thoughts on all this. But when you say it like that, that's when people say, I don't like the idea that Microsoft goes in, does this, and starts strong arming. They can strong arm.
I think Microsoft would be stupid if they put the game on Game Pass. To be honest, leaving all that money on the table, man.
If it was switched around, if PlayStation was in the chair that,
but PlayStation has been in the chair with.
They would have just.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Destiny 2 is my example. Destiny 2 is not leaving Xbox.
No, hold on. It was Bungie.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's it. That's a Sony.
Let me finish.
It's a Sony-owned title now.
It's Sony, not under PlayStation. It's under Sony Interactive Entertainment as well.
Right.
They are lateral.
Well, Microsoft's the one buying this, not Xbox.
They would not have. Bungie would not have agreed to the deal, would not have agreed to go under Sony.
It doesn't. Listen, you guys can say what you can say whatever you want. Xbox, your words were if it was flipped around. No, they just said that's what they wanted. That's fine. But you said if it was flipped around and then Destiny 2 is staying on Xbox.
Dude,
period.
I think. Wait.
And I think the next game after that is
Destiny
going to
come out on Xbox as well.
So
I
think if you're going to use the argument that
they needed to remain independent.
Thank you, Jay Bari. Jay Bari said SIE is PlayStation. Okay, Microsoft is Xbox. Microsoft is buying ABK, not Xbox. SIE bought Bungie.
I think you also have to remember something too, like the install base. Like if let's just say Sony, like since we're going to play the hypothetical game, because I hear that a lot. Well, what do you think Sony would do? They wouldn't do it. Well, one, we don't know that.
We don't
maybe
know.
They would. Maybe they wouldn't. But they're also in different positions from an install perspective. Like,
true.
If you're going to make the argument that Sony wouldn't do it, yeah, maybe they wouldn't do it because like more than half the install base, they don't risk losing that per se. But they also might not risk. If you're going to make that argument too, please acknowledge that multiplayer games live and die on communities. So is Sony going to run the risk of
Destiny and Call of Duty are only as good as the communities they're in? Period.
And so that's why I always kind of laugh that argument when people say, "What do you think Sony would do?" They wouldn't make that. They would make it exclusive. Well, maybe not, because again, these games live and die. Well, especially nowadays. Like
if you don't believe what BRAP's saying, look at Halo Infinite.
It depends on the game. Like single players, absolutely, Sony will make those exclusive. Single player games,
I would agree. Absolutely, Chris is right. Absolutely, single player, but a multiplayer game, like
of that magnitude.
That's a lot of money you're leaving on the table.
Yes, you think about reoccurring revenue, DLC, skins, microtransactions, season passes. I mean, like, why would you imagine saying to the shareholders, "Hey, we made an $80 billion investment. We're taking the majority of the multiplayer base away, which means less revenue." They're going to be like, "What?"
Right.
Because like that $80 billion, like that's not free money. They still got to make that up, And
that's why I said that when it comes to Xbox, after those 3 years, there's no guarantee.
Right. Xbox. Agreed.
Like, hey, let's make this.
They might make another deal. Right.
Yeah, they might make a deal. Absolutely.
That's the whole reason to do that.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. I agree. Now, Nick, let me get Nicholas down here. Nick, I know you've been digesting all this, and I'm sure you're chomping at the bit. Either that or you're writing a whole new article on if I'll ever come back on CrossFire. Nick, what do you think when you hear all this? And guys, by the way, great super chats.
In the article, it's Xbot with a T.
That's right, with a T. Yes, and it's 448.
Okay,
Nick,
I'll make sure I don't put Xbox with an S.
Yeah,
I'll make sure I get that for you.
Yeah, not plural, Nick. Guys, by the way, super chats. As soon as Nick,
don't refer to me as Bush Light, Nick, either. By the way, if you read the article about me.
Bush Light, that was great. I will get to the super chats, but Nick, I got to hear your take. What are you thinking about all this?
Well, I agree with the whole point of Jim and Phil. They're executives doing executive things, and what we're seeing is someone taking a public part of a conversation or a deal to try to garner public attention to bring people to their side, because this is something we've seen continuously across the review boards, is that PlayStation's been trying to drum up support saying, hey, this is a big part of our business, et cetera, et cetera. And the thing is that Call of Duty is a big part of PlayStation's business, but it's not in the way that a lot of people are expecting it. So you kind of got to look at Call of Duty, like, how there's all these people that do these stupid YouTube videos where it's like passive income. You can make $4,000 a day working at home.
Yes.
All this stuff, right? What Call of Duty is passive income for Sony. Activision makes it, they publish it, everything else, Sony gets a cut selling copies on their store, whatever the case may be. They get cut on the microtransactions. They get to make passive income of all the people that dump this endless amount of money into Call of Duty. And if you look at Activision's financial numbers, they're not making money off physical copies. They're making money hand over fist in microtransactions. I can't remember the exact percentage, but it is astronomically higher in mobile and microtransaction financials than it is in physical game copies or digital sales or wherever the case may be.
Yeah.
Their money's in the long haul, and with 125 million people playing Warzone across all platforms,
Yes.
yeah, they're raking in an absolute metric ton of money. And the thing is PlayStation's making money without having to really invest in anything aside from, the pre-existing deals they have. I agree with Xbox. I don't think Call of Duty, I don't think they're going to pull the exclusivity rug. I think what you were going to see happen is that PlayStation's going to lose that exclusive marketing deal they have for Call of Duty, which has been great for them. It garnered them a lot of, I'm not going to say goodwill, but it was a really positive thing in the early PS4 generation when they were kind of struggling to get some games out the door. People were like, oh, I can play, Call of Duty's home on PlayStation, so I'm going to go PlayStation. And then they had all these great PlayStation games that followed, and boom, Bob's your uncle. You have a bunch of new PlayStation fans that previously were on Xbox 360. So you kind of got people in the door with that, and it's a great momentum shifter, so to speak.
Yes.
And I think what Jim Ryan's pointing to that he doesn't want to do with Phil Spencer is he doesn't want to sit down every 3 years and negotiate this deal. I think, and once again, I'm not 100% on this. Don't take this as fact. I think the Call of Duty deal in terms of marketing rights and everything else, I think those rights came up every 5 years. I think
that's
it
right.
It might have been 5, might have been 4. I can't remember. But if Phil Spencer wanted to shorten that time so that they could say, okay, 3 years from now, for argument's sake. So say current deal closes 2025. Okay, so in 2025, we renegotiate a new deal, and then we'll sit back down 2028 to negotiate a new deal. That gives 3 years of time where PlayStation gets whatever that 2025 deal looks like. But then 2028, Xbox can kind of come back with another deal and kind of put the screws to PlayStation a bit sooner than they could if they had a 4 or a 5 year deal. So what Jim is trying to do is he's trying to bring this to the public eye saying, well, Phil said multiple years and he's only giving us 3. Jim's pushing for a 5 year deal because the ball falls better in their court for a 5 year deal.
Yeah.
That's what this is. This is Phil and Jim jockeying for public opinion, because the great thing with social media is once you air something out, you've got hundreds of YouTubers, writers,
journalists,
and everything.
yes.
They'll automatically do free PR for you endlessly. And what really weaponized CEOs doing this was Tim Sweeney with Apple. He ran a whole hate campaign against Apple using YouTubers and social media to drive the public opinion against Apple. And it actually did help him a little bit in the long run. So what you're seeing is Jim Ryan's trying to do the same thing. It's smart business. Use your fans as a weapon. Xbox does it. PlayStation does it. Nintendo don't because, most of their fans aren't old enough to use social media. But
it's a lawyer tactic.
Come on. That's nice.
Wow.
Chris goes, oh, come on.
The number one age demographics is, I think, 20 to 25. The second biggest is like people in their 30s. The third biggest demographics on the Switch are the kids.
Oh,
so that's
I'm sorry. I've got to get my cheap shot in every
once and again.
We'll consider that the Bush Light joke of the show. Okay.
Dang.
No, but Nick, you're like, that's 100% true. Because like my wife, she was a lawyer. She said, when you see, like, you watch a lawyer show you whatever, and a lawyer will throw out something, and then the judge says like objection, and the jury, strike that from the rec. It's too late. They said it, so now it's in the jury's head.
The
it
jury
doesn't matter,
heard it.
Like,
That's right.
Strike, they heard it. So it's a tactic that they use all the time. I'm just gonna say it. They can object all they want. It's out there now.
That's right. Yep. That's correct. And that's exactly what Nick's alluding to. I know, guys, there's a lot of super chats here. I want to say thank you to everyone out there with the super chats. I'm going to go ahead and just put some of them are statements.
Demonetization, man. That's what's going on.
Say again?
They're helping you for the demonetization.
Yes, they are. I appreciate that. Yes, for the earlier comments. That's correct. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate it. But the great thumbs up. Now, I've been reading these as they've been coming in. Thumbs for some reason. This one here, I'm not quite understanding your point, but I'm going to read it. He says, Mooch, do you think this back and forth will cause Microsoft to be petty and release a PlayStation 3 port version of Rise of the Tomb Raider on PS4. Okay, now I get it. He's making fun of a Mooch comment from 2015 or 2016. So shout out to the great Thumbs. I appreciate that.
Long time
Now I
supporter,
remember. Now I remember. Yes, he has been. Shout out to Thumbs. Olamoka17. He says buying two major publishers with multiple studios that created hundreds of games with huge franchises, locking them away from their rivals. That's to stop and hinder competition. That's anti-competitive. Okay, so guys, I digest some of these. Some of these are just statements that these guys are making, and then we'll talk about it. The great Babor Kontri is here. The show has begun officially. Babor's here. He says Ryan just wants COD revenue stream. I think this is what we were saying earlier. But to think PlayStation gamers will move for Call of Duty is stupid. PlayStation games only have one console for decades. PlayStation gamers only have one console for decades. Trust has been built. So Babor's not thinking that, and shout out to the great Slow-Mo Backslap, who also wrote, he said, why are they giving them 3 years? He said they're giving them 3 years because they expect to potentially get those COD players back from PlayStation within that time frame. But again, according to Babor,
Game Pass.
the question will be, will people make that move? That's going to be a question.
Well, I got a question for Babor then when it comes down to it, because, we saw how many people had PS3s, how many people had 360s, and how close that whole situation was. If all these people had PlayStations for decades and stuff like that, then that PS4 boom, when it came to console sales, where did it come from?
It came from the DRM fiasco and Connect.
But no, with how many people bought a PS4, that would mean that there was a bunch of new PlayStation gamers on the PS4 who didn't necessarily have PlayStation for decades.
Well, there's new gamers every generation.
But that right there goes against him saying the majority of these people were people who had PlayStation for decades. Like that's not necessarily.
Yeah, but here's the thing: how long has the PlayStation 4 been out? You gotta
like
factor that in.
The other PlayStations, besides the 3, which sold 90 million, which still is a lot. All the other PlayStations sold over 100 million.
Right.
That too, yeah.
So they always had a huge fan base ever since the first PlayStation. So it's not like they lost
generation or something, because the PS4 numbers were incredible in comparison.
In comparison to what?
To the PS3.
Right, but if you look at the PS4 is at 117 million, the PS3 capped that at what, like 92 million?
Yeah, 92.
So that's like less than a 20 million gap. So that's what I was saying earlier. It's like the main people that will move from PlayStation, if they do, will only be up to like 10 to 15 million players. It's not going to be 50 million, 60 million players that just jump ship from PlayStation.
So shout out to gaming. Shout out to gaming with Persona.
You gotta remember something.
Well, he says
there's a big number out there that started with PlayStation on the PS4. So therefore, that large number wasn't there. They weren't decades on the PlayStation platform. Therefore, those people, if they are really into Call of Duty like that, could be swayed to switch it up, bro.
But some of those people have been on PlayStation for a decade at least by now, dude. Because the PlayStation 4 came out in 2013, dude. So
2013. I think the most people that would do it. Yeah, I think if anything, right, if it does go exclusive or whatever, right, or if they are able to sway people to be like, yo, leave your complete digital library ecosystem from PlayStation and invest in Xbox or whatever. I think the most that will happen is potentially Microsoft can potentially take back North America in terms of being the number one selling console in North America. But that's potentially. But I don't think people should really worry about it because the COD killer literally just dropped today. That's Splatoon 3, so I don't know why people should.
Oh, the great Chris Righteous with an uppercut jab.
Hey, Mooch.
Go ahead. I did want to read. Go ahead, read. Yeah, I wanted to read Personas after your comment, BRAP. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. We're having this conversation. I remember you used to say this, that the generation to win was last generation.
Yeah.
Because of the advent of the ecosystems and because you're digital
purchases.
Thank you for remembering that. I said that over and over again. I said the fact that PS4 had such a healthy lead over the Xbox going into PS5. People's digital games, they want those to come with them. All their accessories, they want those things to come with them. Even things like PSVR. friends list. But even PSVR, people who are excited for PSVR 2, they have the PSVR 1. They want all of that merchandise to come with them. But shout out to Game with Persona. I don't like to go out of order usually. I'll get to the other super chats. But he said, Xbot, you can't use 360 numbers because they counted them with the red ring of death. Them numbers are skewed. Shout out to the great Game with Persona.
About the PS3. Where
well, PS3, you said PS3 versus 360.
In terms of just numbers in general for that era, I wasn't pointing out 360 numbers and trying to use.
No, you're saying the PS3 numbers were the ones you were trying to. Okay.
No, I'm just I'm giving clarity here because obviously there was some fogginess with what I was saying before. I wasn't saying anything about 360 numbers. What I was saying is somebody said that these people have been on the PlayStation platform for decades with an S. Dark Animus, decades.
That was the great Babor Clone 3,
Did
by the way.
He say decades or did he say a decade? I could have swore he said a decade.
So it says, so you gotta understand, and Babor is from another country, so Babor, I don't want to say, he did type decades, but he might have meant decade. I don't know. So Babor, if you want to clarify that in the chat, just let me know.
If he said decades, then he's fucking wrong. So there.
Dark, you owe me $3. That's $1.
So
I owe you shit. All right.
I don't know.
I'm gonna take a crap in my hand and I'm gonna throw it at you. All right. That's what I'm gonna do.
Shout out to the great Sir X.
Oh man, your mom tries to do that.
He says people forget Activision's been around since 1970. Shout out to the great Sir X Man. Viper XT. He says COD won't likely leave PlayStation unless for some reason the player base drops dramatically for Call of Duty on PlayStation. They will negotiate new deals every few years. Viper, I think that's what we're probably going to see as well.
Or the other option is, for some rhyme or reason, Xbox decides to do that at a later date. Like, dude, I was here last week with Hogue Law. And Hogue Law, when it came down to it, he said that within these, these governing bodies looking into the deal or whatnot, they can't really go past that short term, all right, in terms of what will happen in the long term or whatnot. He basically said that then goes into a different series of investigations and stuff like down the line. But for short term, and I think that's another thing that Xbox is doing with that 3 year. They're talking after that the deal is done here, we'll give you 3 more years. That's the short term. They don't have to talk about anything after that. They don't have to talk about their plans or anything after that to get this deal through. And Hogue Law said that last week.
Yeah, but what Hogue didn't elaborate on is that the FTC can go back and revisit these things.
Yeah, but that's going back.
And so it's
where they
probably
are in the future.
Yeah, and but they can like he actually didn't quantify like near term versus or long term versus short term. The part of what the regulatory bodies are looking at too is how does does this put Microsoft in a position where with the ABK deal, and if you think about their adjacencies like with cloud things like that, what does that mean for other competitors who are trying to get into that space later on down the road? Whether it's Amazon, whether it's Google,
they can't talk about they can't get into the long.
Absolutely, they can. Yeah, no, absolutely they can. Yes, they can.
No, they can't.
No,
absolutely.
You can go back and they're doing it right now.
You can go back and argue with a lawyer again about
No, they're doing it right. The FTC's doing it right now,
Nick,
and the CMA's doing it right now.
Hold
so
on, what's Nick? Nick wants to chime in on both of you guys. Go ahead, Nick.
So technically speaking, they can go after you for long term because we saw that happen with NVIDIA when their deal got kiboshed when they tried to buy up a specific, I can't remember the specific chip manufacturer.
It was a chip maker, yes.
Yes, they tried to buy a chip maker, and the reason the deal was pulled was because they said due to the chip shortage, it was basically impossible to dictate whether or not NVIDIA within the next 10 to 20 years could then monopolize the market due to how unstable the market was. And then they pulled the deal. The thing is that I really do not believe there's a world where the Activision Blizzard deal falls through, and it's because it's not because of it'll do this for the gaming, it'll do this for gaming. It's Microsoft. Microsoft is one of the biggest lobbying companies in the world. They've got government contracts through the thing. If they want this deal to go through, it's not going to be the FTC that puts the stop to it. There might be an international regulator that puts the screws to Microsoft for this, but there's not a single regulatory body or politician in the United States they'll put the screws to this deal that won't magically have their pockets get heavier to put this deal through. There's there's nothing in the United States that's going to kibosh this deal.
Yeah, Nick, and to your point, I by the way, I agree with you 100%. That was actually a great example that you just gave, and my point was, like what Xbot was saying, that they can't do it. Well, no, they are doing it because that's why they're talking about it. It's hunting season right now by the FTC for big tech right now. That's why they're going back and revisiting the Metaverse Instagram deal, which the FTC did approve. Now they're saying, wait a minute, hold on.
That's what they do. After they approve it, they will go back.
But they can still
crazy. Like,
but they can still rate, but they can still, but the point is, Xbot, they can still raise these questions long term. They're doing it right now.
They can do it now as well. Yeah,
the CMA is doing it. And that's my point. They're doing it. And the other thing I was going to say is, to Nick's point, like, I don't disagree. Like, this deal goes through, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some concessions made for this deal to happen. And I'm interested to see what those concessions might be, if they are concessions at all. But I wouldn't be surprised if there might be some concessions, given the political climate right now, where it's hunting season right now for big tech, and Microsoft's big tech. So, I mean, and Khan, who's I forget her first name, who's the head of the FTC, she wrote her thesis on Amazon. It was kind of a scathing thesis of Amazon. But yeah, she's very aware of big tech, and it's kind of like, wait a minute, like, we're not going to let them, run amok. And you know what? And the other thing too is, what's kind of cool about this, and we always hear about people talking about, greedy corporations, and these corporations are evil. Well, the regulatory agency, this is part of the checks and balances of that process, where, they're not just looking out for, competition. They're also looking out for consumers too. It's not just about,
well, that's the way I look at it, BRAP. Yeah, they're looking out for the consumer here, and every time I say that, they're like, well, Microsoft can do whatever they want. And I'm like, well, I mean, I understand that they can buy, but it's got to be under scrutiny. And I think Microsoft even said we have no problem with the level of scrutiny it's getting. It's a $70 billion deal. But shout out to Olamoka here in the super chat, and I'm going to read his back to back. He says, of course it matters that a company can buy out the whole market industry and lock out the competiters. He says it's illegal. Well, I mean, it's not the whole market, but it's
not even a majority stake, man. That's the funny thing about this. When it comes down to it, yes, it's one of the most popular games, right? It's one of the most popular games. That's the reason why we always go back to Call of Duty when it comes to Activision Blizzard. There are other games. There's Overwatch.
Well, I agree with you, Xbot. Xbot, I agree with you. I'm not saying he's using. I mean, Olamoka's doing.
Percentages don't add up to anything, which is
he's
why
just
everybody
saying.
Is saying it's
right. No, I get that. Now Olamoka follows up and he says Jim Ryan called Phil out, exposing his lies he told to the public, game industry, and FTC CMA. Phil already lied about the Bethesda exclusivity. So let me ask that question to you guys before we go on. I mean, there's a lot of talk here and Zuby Tech, the great Zuby Tech who's in the chat. Shout out to Saltiest Gaming too. Thanks for being here, Salt. But we had words out there that before the Bethesda ZeniMax deal that they didn't want to keep anything exclusive. Everybody wants to play everywhere. People should play anywhere. And then as soon as the deal was closed, it was like, anything that's not existing is exclusive. So what do you guys think when you hear the different?
Well, they said case by case basis, man, which left the door open for whatever interpretation.
So what about the other tweets and the other filings that are saying that they don't want to close things into one box?
No, what was said was that they're not going to take games away from other platforms. When it comes to take games, hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead. I have a quote here from Phil. Yes, go ahead.
When it comes to take games, all right, it's games, not franchises, games. So games that are already on the platform won't be taken away. That's what they were saying. Like, a lot of people took that as franchises. And it's like, no, that's not what they said. They said games will not be taken away from the platform. That's games that already exist.
Brad Smith, the attorney for Microsoft, said he specifically mentioned Call of Duty as being one of those games with the interview on CNBC. And he actually mentioned that. So he actually mentioned they want to bring COD to Nintendo.
Nintendo. And then there's another quote here.
Again, with that, nobody except for people who are jumping the gun. Mm-hmm. There's nobody with
Xbot, I agree here.
Saying after 3 years,
right,
they're automatically going to make it exclusive.
That is something I think everyone needs to, including myself. We all need to calm down. You're right, Xbot. We don't know what's going to happen after that 3-year deal. But here's another quote from, I believe it's Phil here. Yes. Maybe you happen in your household, you guys know this, to buy an Xbox and I buy a PlayStation, and our kids want to play together, and they can't because we bought the wrong piece of plastic. Still bothers me, he said plastic, to plug into our televisions. He said, we really love to be able, and this is quote, we really would love to be able to bring more players in, reducing friction, making people feel safe, secure when they're playing, allowing them to find their friends, play with their friends, regardless of what device. I think in the long run, that is good for this industry. And maybe in the short run, there's some people in some companies that don't love it. But I think as we get over the hump and we see where this industry can continue to grow, it proves out to be true. So he says things like that all the time, but then when a game like Elder Scrolls comes out or
Mooch,
anything else,
can I just...
it's not going to be on the, as he likes to say, other piece
Well,
of plastic.
It's all
Yeah,
all PR talk. Booch.
Right,
You know,
absolutely,
you know
absolutely.
how that is. That's how that goes. You know, he has to say these things because he has to keep the board of directors happy. He's got to keep the shareholders
But people
happy.
are
He's got to
reading
keep
this.
everybody happy. You know, he's got to do what he's got to do to keep them happy because of the fact that he could lose his job at any moment because they could kick him off. They could kick him out, you know, at any moment.
Yep.
Well, they probably won't, but
No.
you know, he's got to do what he's got to do to keep his job. He's got to do what he's got to do to make Xbox look like a viable system for people to buy. That's it's plain and simple. It's all business. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
yeah.
C-Man says here, which is bad for the consumer? Microsoft ABK deal goes through or the alternative? ABK is sold off in pieces. Which do you feel the FTC thinks is best? Eric, what do you think about that?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Yeah, he was saying, which do you think? C-Mad with a great question here. He says, which is worse for the consumer? Microsoft ABK deal goes through, or the alternative that ABK is sold off in pieces? Which do you feel the FTC thinks is best?
Honestly, man, I don't. Sold off in pieces. I don't really know.
He's thinking if Microsoft isn't that's the only thing. I don't really look at Microsoft. Right now, my issue, Eric, with this is a lot of people, especially in the Xbox camp, they think Microsoft doing this is like goodwill. You know, they're like, thank God Microsoft's saving Activision.
Yeah,
they wouldn't I mean, that's like ludicrous when we all know everybody listening to this show is probably going to end up buying Modern Warfare 2 in a couple of weeks. So right. My point being is that Microsoft's going into a situation right now where they're going to take on 13,000 new employees, all these new IPs, and we've already seen that since they've taken ZeniMax on, a company like Bethesda, which has not had delays like this in the past, has a major delay with a big game like Starfield. Redfall was supposed to come out last summer. That's not coming out. It's just Microsoft has not necessarily showed me since they've bought any of these companies that they've really had their finger on the pulse. Now, they can prove us wrong all next year. That's fine. But right now, I'm not feeling that warm and fuzzy. Now to take on 13,000 new employees and also all those beloved IP, I don't know. Can they handle all of this? That's yet to be seen. And everybody thinks Microsoft's doing this out of charity. Oh, thank God, they're saving all the employees.
Well, see, Mooch, that's what I was saying. Like, it goes.
They're not.
Right, that's all it is.
Exactly, X-Bot. Exactly.
But again, Mooch,
anybody thinks that any company does these things for charity, you're completely fucking bonkers.
You guys know what I mean. I don't mean that literally. But, people are like, well, Microsoft's going to step in there, and he's going to make the culture right.
No,
okay,
Mooch,
yeah, they're not here. These companies are not here for as saviors, okay?
No,
that's one thing you guys got to get through your head.
They have a hands-off approach too. Like
this is not for their.
That's definitely not Optimus's mom. Not hands off.
They're there to make money. They're there to sell you a product, and they're there to tell you whatever they need to tell you so you can buy that fucking product. They don't give a shit if they lie to you or whatever. So it doesn't matter. As long as there's no fine print stating that they have to do this certain thing or whatever, it doesn't matter, dude. They will continue to do these same things over and over and over again.
And leaning into a very consumer friendly, like, like what we call persona and everything else, which again, they kind of got in that position because they had to do so much to get back into the fight, right? So they were very hands-on with their fan base and talking, what do you guys want? What do you want? And it's really built this thing of like, we are, in a lot of people's minds, the perfect company.
Right.
From a social media standpoint, right? And Microsoft, I mean, they seem like a company that is, trying to be or presenting themselves as being more progressive and being more whatever, but they there have been issues that we've seen. They don't get talked about much because that doesn't go with the narrative that a lot of people want to talk about on social media, but they've had their issues too. And there's a reason why, as this thing is presenting, and remember, Ricky, we talked about this, they hired a firm to come in and look at their diversity and look at the situation and issues that they've had, right?
That's right.
Because again, you can't take on an Activision Blizzard King without thinking about that and worrying about that. And again, it's that thing where people think they have like this very naive mentality that, well, Microsoft is perfect, so when they take on Activision, all those issues that they had with the frat boy stuff is going to go away by Monday. You know, the deal goes through Friday, come
Eric.
Monday, everything's going to be awesome. HR is going to handle it.
Yep. Yeah.
Still, people act like
and
Phil
there's
works
still
every department.
Eric, there's still absolutely no true proof that Bobby K is leaving yet. Nothing.
No.
Mooch, let me just say. Let me just
and
say
it's the thing.
real quick.
If the board honestly feels that he can be there and make them more money, there'll be a press release that says, well, everyone should get a second chance, and we think that, you know,
everybody should get
exactly.
Yeah, play the music.
If he's going to make more money,
stop buying into the hype of there's this, you know, Slytherin House Corporation and the Hufflepuff or whatever you want to call it. Stop. They're all assholes trying to get your pocket. All of them.
Exactly.
It's really weird when I see people say Phil's going to go in there and clean house. He's going to make ABK this kumbaya, this oasis.
You know that.
It's like, come on, guys. Like here's the thing: if Bobby Kotick is, you know, can make them a fucking shit ton of money, they're going to keep Bobby Kotick. You want to know why? Because Microsoft cares about one thing, and it's funny when I hear people say, "Oh, greedy Sony." Like, no shit. So is Microsoft. You don't think Microsoft's greedy? Look up Netscape.
Yeah.
Do a little research on Microsoft's history and how you don't become a $2 trillion company by not being greedy. All right.
Exactly.
So let's just put that aside. And the other thing, these companies, publicly traded companies, they are legally binded by law to make their shareholders money and to do things that are in the best interest of their shareholders by law. They don't care about us.
Can I add
Microsoft
having a ton of
and world hunger.
Yeah,
they don't.
Right. And
Exactly,
having a ton of dough does not automatically equate success. Yes, Microsoft is a very successful company, but Google's a very successful company. And look how many things they take on, dump a ton of money to, and bail on immediately.
Yeah.
Because to them, it's not successful. And it happens all the time. So again, taking on all this stuff it may take them years. Who knows? Again, people get caught up in the list war where it's like, yeah, keep acquiring. And I'm like,
well, that's the thing.
Keep a lot of stuff to take on, like in a short amount of time. And
Eric,
again, you haven't even shown that you can manage your own studio.
Thank you, and that's the thing. Thank you, Eric, for saying that. Halo is in critical condition. Nobody's playing Gears 5 multiplayer. Critical condition.
It's buried in the ground freaking
Everwild got rebooted.
Everwild's rebooted, Chris.
Blade got shown in 2019,
they still can't tell you what it is,
and they still haven't shown. This is why Microsoft. To them, they feel like they had to buy Bethesda and Activision or whatever because their own studios, right? And this is not no fanboy stuff, right? Their own studios, at least for the past 5 to 10 years, they haven't been pulling their weight at all. Can you imagine Microsoft now without Bethesda or Activision? They have to rely on the studios that they have now. It'll be even worse. They had to pull this move off. They had to.
Yeah.
I also caution people that are rooting or pom-pomming for Microsoft to buy more.
Yeah, they want more. They're already talking the next acquisition, BRAP.
Yeah, that could have a downstream effect to consumers, meaning less choice. I'm not saying that's the case right now with ABK. I don't think that's the case with ABK. But let's say, people are complaining about, anti-consumer behavior and, especially with the PlayStation 5 price increase, stuff like that. It's like, well, wait a minute. Let's be intellectually consistent here. Like, if you're going to pull that card, be aware of the fact that consolidation may not benefit you as a consumer, which could ultimately lead to less choice. A price increase doesn't necessarily lead to less choice. And again, I'm not defending a price increase. I'm just pointing out the fact that as consumers, you still have a choice whether or not you want to partake in that price increase. But when there's a consolidation and there's one rooster kind of ruling the roost, you don't have a lot of choice. And that's the last thing consumers want. We don't want less choice. We want to have more choice. Again, I'm not against acquisitions. What I am against is less choice for consumers. And that's a concern that I have about not just Microsoft, but even the Tencents or even the Amazon or Googles that may come in and kind of muscle their way into the industry and buy all these studios and things like that. I'm concerned, what does that mean for the consumer long term? Is that less choice? For us, I necessarily don't want less choice. I want to be able to pick and not have to be pigeonholed to only choosing one company to consume gaming.
I just
Well,
don't.
not only that, dude. Not only that, it also you got to look at it this way too, that if they acquire more companies, they can acquire more of these companies. Don't you think that at some point they will get overwhelmed and they'll fucking sell those companies off, or they'll shut them down?
Thank you,
Like, do
Dark.
we really want that? Do we
Thank you,
really want
Dark.
them
I mean,
to shut
they-
these freaking
But
companies down?
nobody
You know,
talks
for-
about
for
this.
nothing?
Like, this is what happens.
You
I
know?
understand that they need a lot of content for
But Mooch.
Game Pass, and so that's not necessarily the biggest concern. But one thing that
Right.
Dark says that makes sense is if a company, and I'm just picking on a few of them. Look at the guys that are making like Deathloop or Ghostwire Tokyo. Those didn't sell well at all on PlayStation. I don't really think. Maybe Deathloop did, but I don't think Ghostwire Tokyo did that well. My
I mean,
point
they were
being is,
good games. They were.
they were
but they
okay
just didn't
games.
sell
I think,
well.
but at the end of the day, if they don't get enough, if they don't, I'm not a fan. I'm not. But that's fine. But if everyone else did enjoy it, that's fine. I'm not. I thought Deathloop.
Hater, you're a hater, Mooch.
So far,
That,
and listen,
Deathloop
no,
sucked, but I thought
Deathloop
Ghostwire
is
Tokyo was good.
because I've been on a bunch of different
Deathloop
podcasts, and they
Deathloop's
always
good.
ask
Deathloop's
Mooch,
good.
"What's the worst game of this generation?" For me, it's Deathloop so far. That
Oh,
I
man.
bought.
I can see that. I can see that.
Come on,
It's-
Mooch.
it's-
Mooch,
it's an
Mooch,
awful
I'm gonna
game.
pull your,
It's an awful
I'm gonna
game.
pull your gamer card right
Go
now.
ahead, take it away. I don't care. I don't care. I'm standing on that one for a while. Deathloop is it's pretty bad, Xbot. I don't know if you got a chance to play it. I recommend you don't.
Nah,
You're a friend of mine. I'd like to see you do something better with your time.
Hey, Mooch, can
So-
I just say? I'm sorry.
Ghostwire.
Ghostwire has
Ghost-
potential.
I heard great
Yeah,
thing,
Ghostwire is good. Ghostwire
Ghostwire has
is
potential, absolutely.
But Mooch, I think that's a fair. Again, I'm not saying that Microsoft can't do it, but I think when people bring up this question, like, can Microsoft do this? Can they manage these studios? I think people get like kind of hell bent about it. They're like, oh, you're console warring. No, I think that's a fair question because, and this is why I think it's a fair question. What Microsoft's doing has never been done in the history of video games. How do they manage these studios? And then if you look at like examples we have of kind of mismanaging projects with some of their studios, this is a daunting task for Microsoft. I'm not saying they can't do it, but I certainly think it's a fair conversation to say, can they do it? Given that no one's ever been able to do this, how do they manage this? That's what's interesting to me. Like, if this all goes through, how does Microsoft manage all these studios? No one has ever done anything at the scope, and this is why the regulatory agencies are looking
except
at
for
this.
Embracer. Embracer's been doing it for a while now.
But you got to
Embracer's third party.
But you got to
Yeah.
remember, so the Embracer's third party.
That's true.
They're also well, from a regulatory perspective, you look at the market, because I've seen people there. Oh, what about Embracer? Well, the market cap's different from Embracer. This is also Microsoft's largest. Think about Microsoft, $200 company. They've been known for Windows, their Azure, their enterprise business.
They've
This
been
is
known
their
for
biggest
services.
acquisition
They've
ever.
been
Well, I got a couple more super chats here, a lot more actually, guys. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Kubini Gaming. He says Xbox offered Call of Duty on PlayStation until 2027. I think Jim said no because he wants to make sure that the game makes it to the PS6. That's actually a point that we got to talk about on the show right now.
That's a good point.
It is a good point because what Xbox is doing, and Xbox 448 said it best. He's like, they want to kind of see after 3 years where they are, this and that. I think Eric also chimed in on this. I think when it comes down to it, Microsoft may want to try, don't know if they will, I don't know, to pull the plug on Call of Duty on PlayStation as we enter the new console era, which would be the PS6, the Xbox Series X2, if you will, whatever they're going to call it. But my point being...
Well, another thing, Jim Ryan, like trying to get 5 years instead of 3. If you look at it again, Sony is slated to have 11 games as a service out by 2026. This is another thing for Jim Ryan as well. Jim Ryan, he wants those, in case there are any delays or anything like that, he wants a cushion there to get all those games out to the public, out to the gamers, and see how they're interacting and what's going on monetarily with those as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they both want to see what's going to happen. It's
Right.
just that Jim Ryan wants a bigger cushion there to get all those games as a service out there and to kind of get the data and see what's going on monetarily with those games and how much PlayStation is bringing in with those, which are first party as well. They don't have to deal with anybody with those games. They don't have to make any deals or anything like that. So he's trying to see that as well, man.
Man, look at Mooch out here just cheesing on fucking Call of Duty over
Why are
here.
you calling that a cheese? That's not a cheese. I got news for you. It's absolute mayhem out there in these Vanguard streets.
Mooch is he is cheesing big time, though.
I cannot
We're not going to let you get with that.
What? Come on,
let you get away with that, man.
Listen, I can't wait for Modern Warfare 2 because I've had it with Vanguard. I'm tired of it.
He does cheese.
So,
hey Mooch, are you playing Modern Warfare 2 on PC?
I bought
console?
Modern Warfare 2 on Series X and PlayStation 5.
Guys, it is a monumental.
Dude, come on, man.
I bought it on
PC.
both.
PC Tech has agreed with me on that note.
There you go. That is revolutionary, by the way, Xbot. The great.
That's surprising.
I've reviewed Xbot a lot.
Xbot,
Bot usually has some shitty takes. No, I'm just kidding.
Xbot, I'm glad you said that because somebody that doesn't agree with you is Babor says, please correct Xbot that Bungie is a PlayStation studio. He just wants you to know that. So shout out.
Sony studio. That's all I'll give you.
Shout out to Babor. Newtonian, he says if Xbox could sell enough games, they wouldn't have Game Pass being in the I think you mean in the first place. He goes being in third place for decades and not producing first party games. They just buy the publisher. That is the goal right now. We'll see what they do with it, Newtonian.
Hey, but that's them competing though. I mean, I'm not mad at Microsoft. They're flex.
Yeah, I mean that's it. They have the assets, right?
Developers out there, so.
Microsoft
money.
Microsoft best strengths is their resources. So use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
right.
Use it.
That's what I love about Chris Righteous. Chris just speaks like the truth, like period. It's
they're like the Yankees.
He's a level-headed gamer, man. That's what it is.
There's
not a lot of those out there.
I love listening to Chris. He is great.
Mooch, they're like the Yankees who've won, 20-something world championships. How many of the Mets won?
Two great ones.
Yankees.
Two great ones. But nonetheless, thank you, Brad, for that. You're going to drive me to drink early. Olamoka's back. He says Sony Microsoft, right? Sony Microsoft.
Well, the Braves are right on your ass. I'm just saying.
You think I don't know that? And there's some Braves fans in the chat, by the way. So Sony Microsoft has done this for 20 years, buying studios here and there, 90% timed exclusives. That's a fair and healthy competition. Buying a whole publisher and making huge franchises exclusive to lock out rivals is anti-competitive, says Olamoka17. The great face.
People are nervous about this Call of Duty. I swear, they're like, no.
Yeah, it's wild.
So,
You know what? They're nervous on both sides. There's people nervous that it's gonna happen, and then there's my fans nervous that it's not gonna happen. I'm like, at the end of the day,
true, Eric.
Exactly. What does it mean to you at all? Like, it doesn't mean
Exactly.
anything.
It don't mean shit to me.
It's not going to affect you really
It's
that
just
much.
like, listen,
Exactly. It doesn't change anything about your gaming habits either way.
I hope none of the PlayStation fans will be mad if it goes exclusive, because just like we tell Xbox gamers, hey, if you truly like Final Fantasy, get a PlayStation. If you truly like Spider-Man,
Chris.
get a PlayStation.
Yes.
If you truly like Call of Duty,
Thank you.
and it doesn't come to PlayStation no more, get an Xbox or a PC.
Buy it on PC or buy it on PC.
Hey, Chris, the funny thing is, that's always the people that are like, I play on everything. And you say, well, why don't you pick it up? Because I prefer to have it over here.
Yeah, like my pro.
That's so true.
Like his move.
I gotta say, you found another gem when it comes to
Chris is a phenomenal gamer in the community. I love all his takes on all his shows he's on, and the minute he tweets, my eyes are glued. I gotta read because he knows what he's doing.
As soon as he puts up the space, I'm in that space right away. Like, I gotta hear what Chris has to say because I know he's gonna go off.
Absolutely. So
can
we? You know what, guys? I mean, we're gonna come back to this. This is a hot subject. I've got a lot of other. This is a great point. Face 23 says something, and Xbot 448 knows this because me and him been in DMs for a long time talking to each other. I've been saying this for a long time. Everyone's like, "Oh, Mooch," same thing like in the chat now. You don't know. Then later on it happens like, "Well, Mooch, maybe you called it. So what?" All right. So, anyways,
hey, Mooch,
right? Yeah.
You called Facebook a decade ago.
I did. Thank you.
They don't give you the credit that you deserve.
Listen, I'm willing to retire. I'm willing to retire.
And the media.
Absolutely. Did you notice? All the check marks switch spots. So, anyways, here we go. Face 23. He says, "Has anyone noticed since PS5 stocks improved? We haven't seen Xbox outsell PS5." And that's what I've been saying. As we were going through the pandemic, right? Shout out to the great Face 23 bringing that up.
Stocks improve though? What was it, like a week or two?
Couple of months ago.
Like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
it
a
started
couple of months ago, and
improving.
Xbox hasn't won since. They haven't won in the States in 4 or 5 weeks now. And I don't say, listen, this is what I predicted before the generation started, but because of the pandemic and shortages that we didn't know about, Xbox with their cheaper SKUs, right? You can say it's smart if you want. That's fine. I'll give you that. They were winning some, and people were like, oh, this is it. The revolution's begun. I'm like, guys, chill.
Bro, Mooch,
There's just no PS5s available.
The shit that killed me was when Xbox outsold PlayStation for like 1 week in Japan.
Yeah.
And motherfuckers just went
Everybody lost their minds.
crazy,
Yeah,
bro.
I know. I'm like, guys, take it from
even if you want to
saw online.
supply things, right? But it's crazy how crazy they went. And I'm thinking, and to me, in my mind, I'm thinking, so how do y'all feel about PlayStation, Nintendo, a Japanese company, destroying Xbox in their own territory for years, not a week, not 1 week,
not a week,
for years?
Right, exactly.
I don't know. That was funny.
Hey, Chris.
It comes down to it. First off, I could give two shits about sales as long as people are buying all these systems. The gaming industry itself.
Apparently, don't
is
care about
healthy.
games either, Bob.
All right.
You ain't got none.
Dark. I have.
Hey, shout out to
All right.
shout out to
I think what it was, the reason why I went out there and said anything about those is for those 2-to-1 people, those 3-to-1 people out there that were like, it's just gonna mirror the PS4 and Xbox One. Dude, all the bad shit that happened at the beginning of the Xbox One, all the negative news and stuff like that, dude, that was absolute insanity. It was just one bad thing after another. We're not necessarily getting that right now. We're getting delays and we're getting the whole Halo Infinite bullshit.
Yeah.
But we're not getting that same shit that we had last year. So the whole 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 ratio that people are like claiming out there, that's hilarious.
3-to-1 is ridiculous. I would say, we gotta revisit this probably in a couple of years to see if the 2-to-1 thing ends up being a thing.
Mark the show, people.
But not 3-to-1. No, that's not. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
3-to-1 is not.
That's ridiculous.
Is way too high.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
It wasn't even 3-to-1 last
Mooch.
generation.
Extremist
No, it
mentality.
wasn't.
Bro. It's all
So-
And the interesting thing with Japan, it's not even a console-dominating market anymore.
No, it's a handheld mobile market, and that's
It
just
is.
the way
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is.
Nintendo
Yeah.
like, rules the roost there. They are the dominant player.
They're reaching. They're about. Because I've seen Jody. I don't know if y'all know who Jody is, right? But she does a lot of the analysts or whatever. She says Nintendo is literally about to reach 90% of the dominance in Japan.
I can see that.
90.
Wow.
90%.
Nintendo is printing money right now.
lot.
They use old technology which isn't in demand. So
Yep.
like the exchange rates, inflation hasn't.
Well, they can also
impacted
keep
them
the
way it
product.
has
They keep the
Sony.
product price down too, BRAP, with that.
Exactly. So even with the inflation exchange rates, like they're not feeling the hurt
Yeah.
per se. They're getting hurt a little bit, but it's not impacting them the way it would like Sony.
Yeah, the parts
Right.
did rise up a little bit for the Switch, but yeah, like you said, and because their hardware is unique, nobody else
They also have a $50
Oh,
SKU too on top
yeah,
of the
no-
$300 one. Yeah.
is the one that's selling the
Mhm.
most right now. The 350 SKU is selling most in the 300, but because and a lot of people are like, why they don't drop their price or whatever, because there's not another device like it. When you're your own unique device,
Yes.
you become more valuable and you don't have to drop the price because there's no
And
other.
that's why the
competition
games
out
don't
there.
drop too. That's
Yeah.
the same thing as the games. The games don't drop because the games sell like fucking hotcakes. They just do.
They really
Like
do.
the ones that don't,
The evergreen,
the ones that don't,
yeah.
they do go down. But the ones that really do sell, like fucking Mario, Zelda, those games rarely ever go down. And when they do go down in price, it's usually like $10.
Mhm.
That's about it. That's
Yeah.
that's all you're really gonna get out of those games when it comes to sales. On those.
So
But
Nintendo's in the
it's
best position because they don't
just,
rely. They don't
Nintendo is
rely.
just on another level.
Yeah, they don't rely on a lot of the big third-party games like Call of Duty or whatever. They get their own exclusives and they
Mhm.
sell like crazy. So Nintendo's in the best position. Like if the other two
But-
like leaves or whatever, Nintendo will still stand.
But Chris, you know what? Nintendo is the best example of supply and demand, right? Like they have these $60 games that let's be real, they're not like because you'll see the argument every once in a while. Oh, $60 game doesn't mean it shouldn't be charged that much. I mean, like the graphics are better or anything. And I'm like, well, here's Nintendo. They're doing
Mhm.
just that.
Yeah.
and they're making a lot of money. I mean, Mario, I think was it Mario Kart sold almost half the install base. 48 million copies or something. Like, I mean,
that $60 argument.
Legend of Zelda sold
always,
more than the
but here's my
that were out.
Hold on. It always kills me. It always kills me when it comes from PlayStation guys because they don't complain that East 9. They don't. Most of these Japanese exclusive JRPGs that are exclusive to PlayStation that are AA that don't have the best production and graphics or whatever are $60. Matter of fact, you go to PSN right now and look up Sekiro. Sekiro's still $60. Like there's a lot of
Chris,
I don't want to say why Nintendo is the only one that gets criticized for it, but a lot of the JRPGs that are AA's that are $60, none of these PlayStation guys complaining about it.
This is what people don't understand. This is what people don't understand. Like they're like, oh, greedy companies. Like, okay, but you mentioned Sekiro. It's still $60. Sekiro came out what, a couple of years ago?
Yeah, wasn't it the 2019 or 2020 game of the year?
3 years ago. 3 years ago.
2019.
So But Chris, the reason why it's still 60 on the PlayStation Store is because the market has demanded the market is still driving that price point. Until the market says, you know what, we're not paying $60 for Sekiro, they're not going to drop the price. I mean, so it's
the market always dictates it, BRAP. The market
that's my point.
Price.
Yeah, it really does. It always dictates price.
And I have faith in the market. I have faith in everyone that's listening to the show. When you think something is the right price, you buy it. When you think it's the wrong price,
Mooch,
you don't.
That's why you got to buy Denali.
That's correct.
I bought Bayonetta 2 last month, and because they don't print it anymore at all, like they don't print. No, Nintendo doesn't sell any physical copies of Bayonetta 2 no more. The value went up on that shit, so I was lucky to find it for $60 because most of the sales were $65.
Yeah,
supply and demand.
Yeah, most of them were 65. Yeah.
Holy shit!
And again, like I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, perhaps he's trying to excuse high prices." No, I'm just explaining how supply and demand works. But at the end of the day, we still have choices as a consumer. Like Chris doesn't have to spend $60 for the copy of Sekiro or $65 for Bayonetta 2, but he chose to because he found value in it. Other people are going to say, you know what? I'm not paying $65 for an old game. I'm not going to do that.
Values in the eye of the beholder. We say it all the time. Viper XT says this deal would be great. We're going back to the Microsoft Sony deal, and then we're going to do a speed round, guys, after I get done with these super chats. Viper XT says this deal will be great for both Microsoft and Sony. It will force Sony to make some adjustments to their game plan, and I'm excited to see what they come up with in the future for PlayStation players. There's a lot of positivity in the Sony community for that says, you know what? And I think Eric said it earlier. I think Chris said it. They said, you know what? Go ahead. Take it. Let's see what Sony's got. What are they going to come up with? They've always said that they're the creative folks that can come up with anything on a dime. Well, let's see
Twitter,
it.
Bro. It's not what I'm seeing on Twitter.
Well,
bro.
yeah, but Xbox, you are in it depends on your circles, you know what I mean? So, it's like you're not seeing it, but
PlayStation people. I'm talking.
Yeah, but again, you got to look at who you're following and what's going on. There are people that are saying that. I see them saying that. I understand you may not, but there are folks saying it. Shout out to Carlos Crispin. He says, thoughts on why Sony hasn't announced a showcase. Carlos, if you don't mind, I will make that my next subject right after this. That's our next subject since we already talked about what's going on in the UK. The great TrueWiddy's here, Mooch Maniac family member. He says, why do people think Xbox will make these publisher studios better? What studio has Microsoft elevated to a higher level? These studio games, any of these studio games from 2016. Okay, so there's a good question. What is Microsoft? What of any of the acquisitions that we know of has Microsoft made better?
I mean, when you look at
we don't know yet.
Yeah, like any of the games and any of the new games. When you look at like Redfall and you look at Starfield and stuff, they were delayed until next year.
Yeah.
When it comes to these, yes, they do have these studios working on multiple projects. All right. Unfortunately, they have not come out yet, so we really can't say if they have made them better or not yet. Like we gotta wait until the product actually drops and gets in the hand of the consumer.
I agree with you, Xbox, but I can't wait till we can't use the word wait anymore. I'm so tired of waiting. It's
exactly. I don't want to hear wait till E3. I don't want to hear wait until this game comes out.
Didn't they buy Ninja Theory like 4 years ago? Like, what's going on? What is happening?
Ninja Theory went out and scanned landscapes and all that good stuff.
I can't wait for this year's Game Awards when we see the new Ireland landscape update.
Oh, no. Hey, hold on.
Oh.
And no release date for Hellboy, too.
Yeah, no release date.
They were hinting at id Software for the next VGAs. So that would be interesting right there. And I am a big fan of id Software.
I
love what
I
they
am
did with
too,
Doom.
but I hope it's
I
not
love
called
that
Doom.
engine.
I'm not looking forward to Doom again. So I hope it's anything but Doom. Id, give us something else, and no Wolfenstein either. How many times are we gonna do that?
Well, I mean,
I'll agree with you on the
Wolfenstein would be
I love Doom, man. That's me personally.
I'd actually go more. Actually, believe it or not, I'd go more Wolfenstein only because Wolfenstein I think has a better story. I'm just Doom Eternal.
Wolfenstein's not id though. Wolfenstein's not id.
I think we could use a new.
Who's Wolfenstein?
We could use a new.
Wolfenstein is Machine Game.
Oh, it's Machine. That's right. Thank you,
They
Dark.
use the
Thank you,
id
Dark.
engine though, right?
They do.
Yeah, they use
It's
the
the id engine. Okay.
But that's the thing. It has so many IPs that they could pull out of a hat that they could do besides just Doom. Like I don't know why they're I don't know if they're going to continue Doom or if they're going to.
This is what I
one of
want
their IPs from
Microsoft
a hat.
Go ahead, Chris.
to do if they buy Activision. They need to get Toys for Bob to make another Banjo-Kazooie game. That's all. That's really all I want, bro. Get Toys for Bob.
A lot of people.
You get a goddamn. I hate the fact that Microsoft has these classic rare IPs and they don't do a goddamn thing.
They're
That's why I
just
said the other day
sitting
on Twitter. I said Nintendo should have bought Rare instead of Microsoft. Nintendo would have.
Absolutely.
We would have had another Banjo.
That's what
like
scares
Banjo
me.
lives. You know what's crazy? Banjo lives on today in Smash Brothers.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But that's what scares me. When you look at all the Activision IP that comes in the ABK deal, they're not going to take all those and do anything with it. They're probably not going to do anything with half of them. So it's like they're just going to do the same thing with Rare. They're going to go into a chest and get forgotten. And that's the thing, because Microsoft's so big. They're just so big. And I don't think that they're going to do that. And they have a hands-off approach. So when you say, and it's funny, this show would be 4 hours long if I got into the whole problem I have with the hands-off approach thing. But we'll get into that on another show. Shout out to
you got to put multiple shows together, and you gotta binge Crossfire to get his thoughts.
Yeah, Big, it's right. Well, Netflix is getting rid of
See,
Big.
what you need to do, Mooch, is do a podcast and then do like an After Dark or like a Saturday podcast. Just to get everything out.
Great, the family will love that, Dark. So, right? I'll see you guys when you're in college. Peace. Where's Dad? YouTube. He's on YouTube. Shout out to the great.
You never know what he's doing back there.
Yeah, what's he doing? Shout out to the great.
Hands-off approach.
My hands-off approach. That's chapters 2 through 7. Test.
You know what? I think Microsoft should hire Optimus's mom because she's definitely not hands off. I'm just saying.
See, he's saying that now because Nick's not here right now. He's left us.
Nick
he's saying that he's like, I got a perfect opportunity to just say it.
Shout out to the great Nicholas Downey. Nick had to go. As you guys know, Nick has made it very clear online too. He's got a newborn, so newborn woke up. He had to go. But shout out to Nick. Thank you for being here, Nick. I appreciate it. Babora Country comes back. He goes, PS3, a year advantage, easier development. Third parties preferred and ran better. People still preferred PS3 over Xbox by huge margins. It's $900 today for a PS3 launch cost.
Better on PS3. Oh,
third parties run like shit on PS3.
Third party, Babor,
that was notorious.
Yeah, Babor, that's true.
Bad third party.
No, it was bad.
It was the early days of PS3.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
And then he said 83 million. The Xbox 83 million number did include the Red Ring of Death. But yeah, Babor, I do think the third-party games really didn't do quite well. They didn't perform quite to their expectations.
No, they didn't.
Let's go back to media bias for a minute, because that's what we used to always go back and forth on.
That's
right. The fact that people talked about how games ran on the PS3 and the 360 was the darling.
The 360 was a darling. Then it went to PS4, and now we're back to Xbox.
Yep.
Right?
I mean, are we though back to Xbox? I mean, I'm just saying.
No, it seems to be much more talked about.
Dude, everybody that has a check mark is literally wakes up every morning and their first tweet is Xbox.
Xbox just doesn't have anything that appeals, I feel, to a hardcore gamer. I just don't think they have anything.
It's not the Xbox itself. It's Game Pass. Is the thing.
Okay. I can see Game Pass.
Thank you, Eric. Yes.
To save money, but still, it's like, come on, man. Like Game Pass is fine and dandy, but it'd be nice if they put more emphasis on putting AAA games in there instead of these fucking just these one-shot indie games. Like I I like indie games too, but I want to see more AAA third-party games come in there too. Like
Yeah.
Gotham Knights, things like that. Day one.
Gotham
Why can't
Knights
they get
looks like
But Mooch,
trash, bro?
but Mooch is
Trash.
right though, man. These guys, they wake up in the morning, they stretch. How can I work Game Pass into the equation?
Yeah, how do I get Game Pass into the equation and tweet that out so I can get as many likes as possible? And that's what it
Guys,
is. It's
I mean,
almost
I mean,
every
you're not
day.
wrong.
With Game Pass, the reason why we're seeing all these acquisitions is they're aiming to be self-sufficient. Like when you talk about third-party big AAA games, and I'm not saying that they're not going to have that in there, but the reason why they have the most first-party studios and they're looking to acquire more, with the pending deal and all that good stuff, is because they want to be self-sufficient when it comes to Game
or
Pass.
it's
They want
because
to
they can't get third-party.
Well, Xbox, you
It's
said it
'cause
best.
they
They're
can't-
aiming to, and they
it's
would
probably
like to
'cause they
be, but
can't
there's
get
no
third
guarantee
party.
that any of that is going to be the case. Again, you buy all this stuff and you're putting it in there and you're saying, we're hands off and we're doing this and we're doing that. And then,
Yeah.
you guys said it earlier, no one talks about the fact that what if the deliverables aren't there from a company, particular company? They're not going to continue fronting and floating that company or that studio, because that's not how you stay $1 trillion company. By, people think, well, they'll just spend endlessly and spend wildly. No, everything's calculated.
The thing that's funny, E, is, so shout out to RRD in the chat. He goes, he was answering the question. We said, which company has Microsoft helped since the acquisitions? And RRD says Double Fine. And I said, well, you know what? I guess so. I'll give him that, because Microsoft did give them the money to finish a game like Psychonauts 2. But if
That's
you're,
true, because
but you know what?
Psychonauts 2 wouldn't have never had the
Right,
bosses
but
without
hold on.
that.
But hold on. Let me go ahead and say this
That's
then.
a good game too, man.
But let me go ahead and say that. Then
Fantastic
RRD,
game.
I'll allow that, because I agree with you. I agree with that. But then you got to give credit also to Sony for what they did with Capcom in Street Fighter V and Final Fantasy VII Remake, right?
I would give Sony credit, but do you remember how Street Fighter V actually launched? Like, I think a lot of people are forgetting.
Well, let's
like,
But that was mainly on Capcom.
That's on Capcom. That's not on.
That was because Capcom. Well, but the thing is, Xbox Capcom turned that shit around like crazy. Street Fighter V was better than it's ever been, right?
It took a while. It took a while, bro.
It did, but that was mainly on Capcom. They were fucking up a lot because look at Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which was a multi-plat. That was a big fuck up for them as well too. So Capcom they were just coming off of the heels of a terrible generation with the 360, and some of that funk carried over on. But now look at Capcom now; they're completely crazy.
Capcom is
Street Fighter
amazing
6,
right now. Yeah.
Street Fighter 6, right? Now that they don't need Sony's money, right? Now they're funding and publishing Street Fighter 6. It's a multi-plat. Street Fighter 6 is going to launch way better in terms of content, in terms of and things like that, right? Because they got new people within Capcom. They took out Ono, who's kind of ruining things for them, right? And Street Fighter 6 is gonna do amazingly well. And it's not because it's multi-plat. It's because it's just going to be an overall better game than when Street Fighter 5 was. I believe so.
I agree as well, especially with Capcom running on all cylinders right now, Chris. I agree. The
Hart
great
has a cheerleader in the chat over here.
who does?
Yes.
Oh,
Shout
yes.
out to Shadow.
He's-
Yeah.
There he is. There he is.
He's
Shout out to
awesome.
Shadow.
Yeah, keep waving them pom poms, Shadow. Keep waving them pom poms.
Shout out to WoolleyGamer. He goes, what a week, Mooch. Crazy. Shout out to WoolleyGamer. Willie comes back. He says, Final Fantasy, for example, is a third-party franchise. Sony hasn't bought. They funded Final Fantasy VII Remake. Xbox could fund a Final Fantasy exclusive. Big false equivalency to Call of Duty. Yeah, I mean they are not apple for apple. I agree with that.
Yeah, a lot of the comparisons aren't as the same as the Call of Duty comparison that people make.
They use that all the time, Chris. That was one of the things you said when you came on tonight, and I was so glad that you were adamant about that. You and Eric really wanted to harp, and I'm glad you guys did harp on that. Gamers Paradise 75. Here you go, Chris. You'll hope your ears are open for this one. You're gonna love it. Splatoon 3 will dance on Call of Duty's grave.
Oh
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh God. Maybe my kids.
Yeah,
I've been contemplating on getting it.
They've liked Splatoon.
Y'all want a unique, right? A unique, very skillful multiplayer competitive third-person shooter. Splatoon 3 is that, right?
Listen to Chris.
I tell people do not sleep on the multiplayer in Splatoon. The people in there will own and rock.
Eric, I slept on it when I first seen Splatoon, and I was like, "Yo, what is this weird ass squid paintball game? Like, nobody want to play this trash, right?" And then I got it in the bundle with my Switch. Right? I got Splatoon 2 in the bundle. I played it, and I was fucking blown away. I'm like, "Yo, this shit's better than any fucking multiplayer out there. Like in terms of like how
people
different
get
it
Chris,
is.
People get busy.
Hey, Chris,
in
the
that
mechanics. Yeah, the mechanics are so solid. I thought I
Yes.
walked in there with Splatoon 2. I thought I was going to own people. Like, yeah, I play COD, Halo, you know.
It's a whole different vibe.
Yes, I got rocked.
So wait, Chris, what does 3 do that 2 doesn't? Since you're selling 3, what does 3 enhance? Where's the step up? Because I have Splatoon 2. I didn't play much of it. The kids do enjoy it. I never really played it, but now you're making. Anyone starts saying things get competitive, then you got my ears all perk up. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, with 3 is just an overall better enhancement of 2. It's not a DLC. I don't care what Dreamcast says, right? It's not a DLC or anything like that, right? It's not. It's just the main difference from what I noticed is the movement and the new tech. Like they're like the dually weapons have a new tech where you can fast dash and stuff like that. The katana, which is a windshield wiper, but is used as a katana, has a new tech involved. Like the overall movement, the look of it looks way better. It's 1080p 60, locked 60, right? It doesn't drop at all. Except when you're in the hub area. In the hub area, I think it's 30 FPS. But when you're playing the game, it's actually a lock 60. 12 maps. The biggest knock of the game that I've seen the critics knock it for was that the fact that it didn't really have any too many new modes added into it. But they promised that was going to be with free updates, right? They have a season pass. No microtransactions. So anybody that was trying to say amiibos with microtransaction or the game has microtransaction because it said it has in-game purchases, which is referring to you need to buy the online to play Splatoon, right? It has none of that. It's very content rich, very content complete. More so than what Battlefield and what Halo was last year and stuff like that. And I'm not sure about COD. I know a lot of people complain about COD, but I think COD was pretty content complete last year, if I'm not mistaken.
So shout out to
I don't think I've.
what do you have to? This is a great question for Chris. Manandi, he says Splatoon is for children. What do you say to something like that, Chris?
He's never played a game, so he don't.
No, and I didn't mean to put I didn't mean
don't go in there sleeping because it's colorful and bright.
There you go, Eric.
And, you're shooting more like super soakers and stuff. People will body your ass in that multiplayer. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bash on Al. I just
there's not a lot of kids playing Splatoon.
No, Eric, I thought the same thing, bro. Like what you just described, that was me. I got body. I'm telling you, the game is. It's not what you think it is.
That community is like dedicated to that game, and they get busy.
That is so
very
true,
as heavy skill based.
They wouldn't have 3 games if the game wasn't good.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you're moving. Yeah, Splatoon 2 sold over 10 million.
I don't know how long Xbox. When I get near the 9 o'clock hour in New York, I get nervous because Xbox might have to go. I do want to ask this. I'm going to switch subject real quick. So Stalker 2 and Atomic Heart getting delayed. And Xbox, you were wicked excited for. I know definitely Atomic Heart.
Heart, yeah.
Like, what is this? Listen, a lot of people in the chat, they come here to listen to the Xbox Defense Lawyer, but like, what does this mean for Xbox gamers? I know you were really looking forward to that this fall holiday, and now it's moved again. How does this make you feel as an Xbox owner right now? Where I know you love Destiny 2, and I know you're going to find something else to take your time. But it's another game that you now have to wait, that you didn't think you were going to have to wait for. What's your take?
See, with these two games, let's be real. With what's going on in the world, you have a Russian developer making Atomic Heart, which we all know with Russia and that whole situation. And then with Stalker 2, that's the flip side of the coin with what's going on in the world. Like, I hope and pray that the developers of Stalker are doing okay. They did release a video that they're out in the field doing what they got to do, like for their country and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can't really like say anything about this. Like, this is something that is going on in the world, and unfortunately, one of my basically my most anticipated game this year with Atomic Heart, because I get like original BioShock vibes when I watch like the gameplay and stuff like that. From that.
I can see that.
Like, to me, it looks incredible. Graphically, it looks really good, and just the atmosphere. Like, I am down for kind of like weird, twisted shit like that. That's like right up my alley. So, like, I'm disappointed by it, but I am also kind of happy to see that Xbox might be learning from this whole thing, this whole situation, because in the place of Atomic Heart, they got Gungrave Gore to go day one into Game Pass. And you know me, Mooch, you know me, I use Game Pass. Like I play.
What game did you just say?
Gungrave Gore, Gore.
Okay.
If you look at it, it's like an over the top. Like it reminds me of the movie Desperado, because this dude has a huge like box on his back, and it's like it can morph into different weapons.
Sorry.
And stuff. You know what I'm talking about, Antonio Banderas and
No, I know what you mean.
movie.
Yeah.
It's really got that feel, and it's like over the top, like Devil May Cry, but it's got that Desperado feel to it.
Is that out yet, Xbox, or it's coming?
No, it's coming out. It's coming to Game Pass this year. I don't have the release date, but it's coming day one.
I didn't even hear of that game.
I'll send you.
Game. That's why.
I'll send you the trailer.
Yeah, send it. No, honestly,
I'm
send it.
just saying, it's not.
But I mean,
it's not
Like
advertised.
weird ass games.
like
Like,
what,
don't listen to
Evil
Eric.
West
He
is
likes
doing?
weird ass games.
Well, that's what Eric. What did you just say?
Is that sort of like in the vein of what Evil West?
I think it's going to be in the same like world from what he's saying. But I watched Evil West. West looks amazing.
I want Evil West as well. Bro.
Yeah,
but you know Xbox. They say Xbox gamers
saying.
don't buy games though. But like I'm looking forward to Evil West as well.
Well, so Evil West is not coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, but if Evil West goes to Game Pass, then you're not going to buy
Not
it.
as of yet.
They haven't said anything as of yet in terms of Game Pass. But when it comes down to
if anything goes to Game Pass, you're not going to buy it. Bob.
Well, no. If there's a game I'm interested in, all right, I'm gonna either buy it, or if it goes into Game Pass, I'm gonna play it that way. And the funny thing, Dark, that you're mentioning, well, if it goes into Game Pass, I'm not gonna buy it. Dude, I pay $15 a month for Game Pass.
Right.
If a game is gonna go into Game Pass that I want to play, yeah, that's where I'm gonna play, because I am indeed paying for it, $15 a month. All right.
Yeah.
You don't try to make it like a lower bar or something like that. Like, oh, like I'm not paying anything. I'm paying $15 a month for the service.
I'm just saying,
I'm gonna play the new games. I'm gonna play the new
service
games.
is kind of.
That's where I go. And guess what? Then, if I like it, then and it's going out of Game Pass, I'll purchase it then.
I think
that's what I get to do.
I think games like I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat.
So you're gonna wait until it goes on sale and then buy it when it's off of Game Pass, and those developers don't get the full price of the game. Okay.
Oh. You are a pain in the ass, and I hate you.
Dark is he's in a mood tonight, boy. He came in here feisty.
He is.
Spicy. You ordered 12 spicy hot wings before the show even started.
Tacos.
But with that,
tacos, yes.
With that, like I said, like when it came down to it, when games were getting delayed and there was nothing in Game Pass, at least I see signs that Xbox is like they knew the whole Atomic Heart thing was coming,
right?
And it looks like they struck a deal to get another game in that releases around the same time that they were hearing internally Atomic Heart was supposed to come out, and to see them say, you know what, that game's not coming out. Let's see what we got on the table. Let's see what we can get, to kind of at least cushion that blow. And they did that with some great gore.
I hear what you're saying, but I as much as I really do like what you just said, but you sounded like a baseball manager that's like 4 injuries deep, and they're like, you always hope that you always hope that the next man up is going to be as good as the
home run hitter, but guess what? We're going to switch to small ball, and we will make it to the playoffs.
This guy we got now can bunt like there's no other. He's so fast. But
that would be Dark Optimus, by the way.
Oh, he's a bunter. All right.
Hey, I can bunt with the best of them, bitch.
He does not.
So, all right, let me switch subjects here.
I'm putting the trailer in the DM now.
Please do. I appreciate that. I'll go to Eric. Eric, what's your take on this? I don't remember how critical you were or weren't on Cyberpunk when it first released, but everybody seems to, everybody's coming around. So Cyberpunk 2077's DLC is coming out. People are very excited about it. People are also saying that the enhancements that came to Xbox and PlayStation 5 have really made the game playable and enjoyable again. Where are you on? I just want to touch base on Cyberpunk because it's I see a lot of people are streaming again on Twitch. It's in the news. It's in the media again. Are you going to go back and try Cyberpunk 2077's DLC or even the main campaign again? Or is it too long, too far out?
No. I hadn't actually played Cyberpunk because I was in that camp when, as the game was getting nearer to releasing, and I was just like, yo, the more they're saying about this game, the more suspect it's looking. They're pulling out features, they're doing all this stuff. I was like, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see what the deal is, and I'm happy I did because that initial launch was like, we know the history. We don't have to go through all that, right?
Right.
It was ass. Let's just say it was ass.
Unless you bought it on I bought it. Pardon me. I was gifted it on PC. The PC. I will say this much: the PC version, as of even day one, was quite good. Console,
That's
not
because they focused on the PC version. They didn't focus on the
console,
version.
not so much. So Eric is right. I did go. Remember when they were giving it away, Eric? I ended up getting a steelbook for it at GameStop for brand new, $10 on the PS4. Because no matter which one you bought, whether it be Xbox One or PS4, the enhancement. The minute you put the disc in, you'll get the enhancement to the PS5 or Xbox Series X. So I have the PlayStation version of it, but I have yet to pop it in and play it. Are you?
I played the demo. I played the demo when they released the next gen features.
How was it?
And I was impressed. I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to play this. Not yet because I had other things ahead of it. So, and I got mine for free because it was $5 at GameStop, brand new.
Yes.
And
nice.
Oh, you had the $5 coupon.
$5 Pro Rewards. Like,
yes.
let's do it.
I use that too every month. Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, seeing that new DLC, it looks really good. So I'll probably play it around the time that drops. So it kind of leads into, I can play the game and it kind of leads into that DLC hitting. I'm in no hurry to like jump on it, but I was definitely impressed with the upgraded demo. The vision that they had is obviously more apparent in that, and it was definitely more apparent that they should have just bailed on at the time the last gen versions.
That was
very clear that they needed.
That was the lead platform. The last
It was very clear that they needed to scrap those two.
Limited edition.
I get it. Like their board was like, that's a lot of money on the table.
Yeah,
I get it, but it definitely. But again, this shows too that gamers have amnesia. Like they'll be pissed in one moment, and then when you start giving the deliverables and it hits, gamers move on, man. As long as they're getting what they want out of something,
Well, Eric, let's be real. The Cyberpunk world itself is awesome in terms of like immersion and stuff like that. And I think people were just waiting for them to stabilize everything and get everything together, and then of course add content. I beat Cyberpunk. I thought it was a really good game. To be honest with you, man.
No, I know you said you did enjoy it.
No, and
I really like the story.
I actually stopped because I'm like, you know what, this is really good, and I've seen
it
enough.
Is. Yeah.
And I said I'm gonna do the whole thing, and I'm gonna do the whole run. So no, and it looks fantastic.
The game sucks you in as long as like you don't get any glitches that like really frustrate you and stuff like that when you first when you get in there and you get a good chunk of gaming time in there. That game, the environment and the story will really it'll suck you in, man.
Yeah, when they updated it, it was 10 times better. I mean, it was like a whole new game. Like when I was playing it, I was sitting there, I was thinking to myself, I was like, why didn't they just come out with this version of the game for these consoles? Like, why did they even bother with the PS4 and the Xbox One? I mean, I understand that they had to because they were talking about those versions coming out. It's just they should have never even bothered with it, man. I mean, I'm excited for the DLC. I think the DLC is gonna be freaking awesome.
Is the DLC a standalone, Dark, where you don't have to play the campaign?
I think you will have to probably play the campaign, actually, it'll probably be if it's CD Projekt Red.
Remember,
and I know how CD Projekt Red is.
Yeah,
it'll probably be standalone
because that's what they did with The Witcher 3, Blood and Wine. You didn't have to play the campaign for that. I don't believe.
Right. So it's good to see that they are working on it. Still, they knew that they fucked up. I mean, they know, and they're still one of my favorite developers because of the fact that granted, Cyberpunk when it came out on PS4 and Xbox One, it was terrible, but when it was on a PC, it ran great for a lot of people. I mean, for the majority of people who played on PC said it was an amazing game. I didn't get to play it until I actually went to the PS5 version of the game, but when I was playing it, I freaking loved it. So like, it's a great game. It's just it had that stigma of.
So wait, Dark, can I ask you, how was the PS5? Because Eric said he tried the demo. You've tried the actual PS5 game upgrade. How's the game treating you? Is it?
It's good? Really good, dude. Like you honestly, like like it has it has a few glitches here and there.
Well,
Every
yeah,
game does.
that's fine.
Right, but it's not to the extent of how PS4 version was, because the PS4 version was just it was broken, man, completely broken.
It was broken.
And the PS5 version has been so good. Like, I mean, I actually beat it earlier this year when they came out with the update. Like, when they came out with the update after I finished the Legacy of Thieves collection.
Yes.
I went back and played the Cyberpunk, and I was just like, I freaking loved it. Like, I think I spent like 50 hours in that game.
I gotta be honest with you. There's so many games that are coming out in the next few weeks. I'm so tempted to go back and play that game from the beginning again. And I know right now.
Well,
I think
I wouldn't do it.
No.
Right now, I wouldn't do it. But
no. Only because of time.
Later
only because of time.
Like maybe summertime of next year.
Summer next year, or I was gonna say in December, but we've got you've got of course God of War Ragnarok, Callisto, and then
Callisto Protocol looks
Callisto
amazing,
Protocol looks great, but then you've also got the Dead Space remake, and then you've also got Forspoken. It's just it doesn't end. It doesn't,
Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts Legacy.
Harry
Yep.
Potter,
So it doesn't really go. We don't have a real resting time anymore unless you get to the summer. So it'll have to be something we kind of piecemeal. I do have another subject here, guys. I got to ask you because I'm a little bit confused on it because I have 2 Elite 1 controllers. I have 2 Series 2 Elite controllers. I am going to pre-order once it comes out the PlayStation Edge because I want to have an Elite controller on the PlayStation side. Who's this core for? Because a lot of people go, well, Mooch, it's quite simple, really. It's a cheaper
It's for the people like Xbox who don't want to pay for their games. That's what it is.
hey, Mooch, before you guys, I actually got to take off, bro.
Oh, Eric, all right. Thank you so much. The great Eric Jackson, everybody. Eric, thanks. This is going to be our last subject. Eric, let everybody know where they can find you, man. Thank you, Eric.
Later, bro.
Man, you can just find me on Twitter with my dumb memes and jokes. That's all I try to do is make people laugh, man. It's too much. People take this shit too seriously.
Way too seriously, E.
Way too seriously, man. And like Xbox said, man, there's people in life, developers, whoever, having real issues. Real true issues. And all over the world. In our country alone, we have real issues. And not to get too whatever crazy, but no, just, man, laugh, man. Game is fun. Just find people you like to rock with online. That's what I do. Ignore the haters, ignore the trolls.
Eric, you saying that, man, I've known you for so long now, and I'll take full responsibility. Let me know, please, honestly, just DM me. The next time you're playing anything at all that is co-op or it's multiplayer, I don't care what it is. Get a hold of me, man. It's been too long. I really would enjoy a gaming session with you and having a great discussion while we enjoy this.
Hey, if you Mooch him the game, then he'll play with you.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, because I'm not like the biggest multiplayer person, but I do want to connect more like community-wise with like some multiplayer stuff. So
reach out. Listen, I'll be that person for you, Eric. Reach out, please.
All right. You got it, man. All right, guys. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Later.
RDC, bro.
All right. So I guess, I was going to go to Eric, but I will. BRAP, I'll go to you. Who's this core? Because here's the situation. It's basically the exact same make as the Elite Series 2. It's not coming with the attachments. It's not coming with the hard case. The hard case also had an option to charge it inside of it. It's missing a lot. All the different thumbsticks, the paddles. It's missing a lot. So people are like, it's cheaper. You can get a Series 2 right now, BRAP, on sale for like $160 with all the bells and whistles. So, except for
it's cheaper, but you're gonna end up buying those other parts anyways in the long run to replace them. So it's gonna be the same price regardless.
So it just seems like a bamboozle here. I don't know, because part of the Elite. Listen, for anybody that goes, well, Mooch, I don't need that. This is my first one. I'm gonna buy a cheaper entry point. Listen, we gotta break things down a bit here. The part of having the Elite controller is the different thumbs. The thumbsticks that you can trade out, the panels on the back, the paddles on the back, everything. Like, if you're taking that away, you're literally paying $125 for a controller that weighs slightly less than a pound, more than the one you have. So I don't understand, like, where the concept there. Chris is right. You're eventually going to have to buy these components to have the Elite experience.
I'll tell you, Mooch, it's for people who, and this is not a bad thing, is for people that want to buy the controller, right?
Yes.
But then don't really have the money to buy the controller outright, like how it is with this Series 2.
But it's like $160 on sale, Dark, the Elite Series 2.
But that's the thing. A lot of people don't a lot of people don't look at that kind of stuff. There's
I
just people
know.
out there that don't look at
Yeah,
that.
but
So,
I would think the people who are looking into an elite controller
right,
are
if they're
more of the
looking into,
enthusiasts,
they
right?
would.
It's more of the enthusiasts that are looking into it,
Right.
not the casuals.
But I think some of it has to do with maybe people are like, well, I'd rather just have it without the pedals, or somebody's maybe who's maybe they just getting it for their kid, for Christmas or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just what Microsoft is thinking. They're just thinking, oh well, maybe this is for a kid who wants it for Christmas or whatever. They're just trying to sell controllers when they don't have any games.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a joke, but it's true. It's like every time there's a game delay, we get a new controller. Biggie, shout out to Biggie Butters in the chat. He says it's for the PC multiplayer live service push.
I could see that. I could see that as well. But for me personally, I wouldn't. Honestly, I don't really think that elite controllers are necessary unless you're playing a lot of multiplayer.
Yes,
I really
correct.
don't feel that way. So I mean, I personally wouldn't buy a Series 2 or whatever, or I might get the Edge if it's cheap enough. I don't know. It's gonna be
that's the one thing I
but,
like about Xbox releasing the Core is that at $125, I
cheaper.
wonder if it will make. I really do wonder if that'll make Sony think about that pricing, right?
It could. Yeah, they could. I mean, they're not really.
Not right away. I don't think so. Not right away.
You don't think so, Chris? What do you think the price is going to be, Chris,
Well,
for the Edge?
I think the Edge is probably going to be like a 170, 180 controller, maybe pushing 200. But I think because it's their first own proprietary elite controller or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to see how this one does, right? Write it out before they think about a cheaper option later on down the line.
Okay. All right. So you think they're going to do something similar then?
Well, I don't. Maybe I have no idea, but I don't know. I don't want. It's cool that they're coming out with the controller and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want them to turn into announce a new controller every fucking month without
right. Exactly. Well,
Right.
that's the thing. Like even the DualSense feels pretty elite already. I mean, like
It does.
The only
It does.
the only thing that I see that the Edge is doing different is that it has the paddles and it has the switch out of the sticks. That's about it.
That's all it is.
To me, that's not.
But you can get attachments. You can get a paddle attachments, right, for the DualSense, like you could on the PS4.
You can.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they had the paddle attachments like they did on the PS4 for the DualSense.
It's not official. It's not official from PlayStation, but you can get them like on, they're third party.
Okay. Okay, got it. No, I mean, it's funny. Shout out to Ryan Landis. He goes, it would be nice if paddles were just standard now. I think a lot, but I will say this much. I think just the two. I think 4's overkill. I use only 2. And I've been trying. Shout out to the guys I play, a lot of Warzone with. They're like, Mooch, you really got to get used to. And I've been working on it using the paddles now on my Series 2 Elite controller, is jumping and sprinting, using that as my paddles. It makes it a lot faster. You don't have to take your thumbs off the sticks at that point.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
So
I mean, that's the beauty of those controllers, is for the multiplayer aspect of gaming. You don't.
Yeah, I don't use them. I don't use my Elite for
really
any
use them
single player
for-
games. No.
Yeah.
No.
And that's the thing for me. I'm a single player game kind of guy, and I'll always be that way. So I mean, this kind of doesn't interest me at all, really. I'm just kind of like, oh, that's cool. When they showed it at the Gamescom, I was just like, oh, well, okay, cool, whatever. And it's the same thing with like VR. Like, I'm not interested in VR at all. Like, I have no interest in it.
Do you have a Quest? Do you have a Quest 2 by any chance, Dark?
Your mom's very
I've
interested
used
in VR,
them.
by the way, Optimus.
I have used them. I just
Your mom uses VR, Optimus.
oh man.
Oh man.
She's great at her trade. I mean, like it's the oldest trade in the world. I get it, man.
You just pipe down there, okay, buddy?
I'm just saying. Look, there's nothing to be nothing to be ashamed of. It's the oldest profession. Prostitution's the oldest profession.
Okay. I have used
PG, BRAP.
VR. I have used VR. Man. Yes, I have used VR, and I think I actually played Alex, the Half-Life Alex.
Half-Life Alex, yeah.
Awesome game. It's definitely the one game if you have a headset.
Yep.
you need that game. Like, if you have a Quest, you definitely need that game to really get the full benefit of what you're getting out of VR.
Yes.
And it's just,
Problem is-
I think
The problem is you need to
personally
have.
for me, I just have no interest in it. It doesn't appeal to me. I don't want to sit there for a
It's
couple
not
hours
about
playing
no,
VR. I
no.
just don't want to
So
do
Dark, listen. Here's the thing. So here's how I like to put VR nowadays. It's the same way I kind of use my Steam Deck. I use the Steam Deck within a 30 to 45 minutes. Then I put it down, and generally I'll go back to console or watching a TV show, whatever.
You see, for me, that's not worth it, dude. That's not worth the money to do that.
Yeah, I listen, and that's something I'm not going to sit here on this show or any show and tell you
So
that
only
you
spend
should.
30
No.
minutes on that.
But the thing about it, though, at the end of the day, Dark, VR really should only be experienced in 35 to 40 minutes. You get like it's a lot on your mind. Your eyes start to hurt. Your head starts to hurt a little bit. I do know people can do it for longer. Good for them. I'm not saying, but even if you look at the recommendations for VR, they say in 25 to 40 minutes, increments. You're not really supposed to do it for an evening. It's not. I don't recommend it. I really don't. I don't know if it's bad for your eyes. I'm not gonna tell you it's bad for your eyes. I don't know. I usually play VR for about a 35 to 40 minutes. I put it down. I'm good for the evening. And honestly, if you don't think that justifies the price, Dark, I'm not gonna talk you into it. I'm not. But
I mean, how many evenings am I going to be using that? Like, it is an experience. I will give it that. It's a great experience. It's a fun experience. But how many times am I going to put a VR headset on in my home? When I'm playing games. I'm not.
No, you're
I'm
not.
That
You might
kind
not.
of guy,
You're not that gamer, and there's nothing wrong with that. Well, guys, let me say this much. We are at 2 hours and 20 minutes here, just about, and it's after 9 o'clock in New York. Dark.
Mooch, you went 3 hours one time.
I did.
Don't give me that. All right.
I'm trying to get everybody out on that, because if I keep going 3 hours, people are like, I'm not going to CrossFire. It's too damn long. So I got to get back to my 2. I got to get my average back to the 2 hour mark. Shout out to everybody that was here. Again, the great Nicholas Downey, who had a newborn baby just a few weeks ago. Shout out to him for coming on the show and taking time from his family to do the show. He had to go back and take care of the baby. Nick, congratulations from all of us here. And the great Xbot 448, you guys know Xbot at 9 o'clock. He also has family things he has to take care of. He even stayed after 9 o'clock for us. So shout out to the great Xbot 448. Check him out on next podcast on Thursday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern time. But Chris Righteous, Chris, honestly, I know that you've also got a lot going on, man. You do, like me, multiple shows a week. You're doing things. You're very busy. For you to take time out, Chris, and be here tonight, it means the world to me. Really love your input on all the topics. Let people know that they can find you, Chris. And, of course, I can't wait till you're on the show again soon.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you for having me on. It's always fun to come on here. And, yeah, y'all just follow me on Twitter at Chris Righteous. I do Planet Xbox with Kids Smooth. I'm the PlayStation aficionado over there, right?
Yeah, you're the PlayStation guy, Chris.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Chris, God bless you, by the way.
Honestly, I only watch that show just because of you, Chris. I'm not even kidding. I just watch it because of you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Hey, Chris, that's the only reason I watch the show, because of you, by the way, too.
But yeah, shout out to Smooth and them. Also, Salty. I haven't been on Salty's for the past couple of weeks because I've been busy these past couple of Thursdays, but I should be there. I know somebody was asking me in the chat, why you haven't been on TJSP, but I should be there again next week. And then I do spaces pretty often, and it varies. Most of the time it's just mainly gaming stuff. So, and then, if anybody wants to, play games or anything like that, Splatoon 3 just came out or whatever, y'all can always hit me up and I'm always down. So, but yeah, I appreciate the conversation, and Mooch, you want a great podcast here, and
Thank you, Chris.
Always appreciate the invites.
No, I truly appreciate that, Chris, because
And shout out, my bad. Shout out to Dark Optimus, and shout out to BRAP for keeping your mama jokes alive.
Yes, exactly, right? Hey, Chris,
because we're Latino, that's why. We just got to keep them alive.
Yeah.
Hey, but Chris, growing up, that was a staple. Like the mama jokes was like that's what we did.
Yes, but then people got too sensitive. Be like, my mom's dead, and I was like, then no, you can never joke again. My mom passed away. Right? My mom passed away when I was real young, but I never got mad at you. I never took them personally. You can do your mama jokes. It's all good. You know what I mean? But
exactly.
Yeah, but I think today's climate is too sensitive for that shit. Trust me, because there's so
Yeah,
many times I want to reply to people on Twitter and be like your mom or something like that, but I'm like, I don't know.
Chris, I do it all the time. It'll be like, "Prop, you're biased against Sooty." I'm like, "So's your mother."
Oh.
I don't. Look, yeah. Anyways,
No, great
Yeah.
stuff. Great. Well, you know what, Brap? Honestly, you do keep those bomber jokes alive, and I do appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, I try. I mean, and Autobus actually helps, man. So
you guys are great. You guys play off each other.
His mom helps. His mom helps. I mean,
listen, well, listen. I got news for you, Dark. You know,
I tell you, there's nothing light bush about her, right? By the way, she's very 70s, if you know what I mean.
Oh, there you go. So, Dark Optimus, I will say this much. I know,
like coughing. You know what I'm saying?
He's got something in his throat there. The great.
I feel like it's like a hairball.
Shout out to Dark. Listen, I know it's 9 o'clock over here, but you're probably eating lunch over there in California.
It's true, man.
Just want to say, shout out to you, buddy. Appreciate you being here. I love your takes. And you know, I got to be honest with you. You had some unbelievably great takes tonight. You were not your normal doom and gloom Goldblum, which I love that side of you too, by the way. I absolutely love it. But I got to say, just outstanding to have you on the show tonight, buddy. Thank you so much. I know you have a crazy schedule as well over there with your work schedule, but let people know where they can find you. And, of course, I will bother you last minute, probably in the upcoming weeks.
Sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to it. Shout out to you, man, for having the best damn motherfucking podcast on Friday nights.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, for sure. You guys can find me on Twitter, Dark Anonymous. You can also find me on PlayStation at the same name. I don't get on Xbox anymore. I just have no reason. For me personally, I know a lot of people are like, well, how come you haven't been on Xbox? Well, it's because there's no reason for me to be on there. I've just it's not a PlayStation thing.
No, it's not a console war thing. It's how you feel.
They don't make the games that I want to play.
You're a pony. You're a pony. I get it.
Yeah, Dark Optimus, I feel the same way because I've owned every Xbox except the One X, and now currently I don't own a Series, even though it's a 99% chance by the end of the generation I will have an Xbox.
Right.
But it's just like, it's not because I'm a brand loyalist or anything like that. No, growing up as a kid, I wanted all the platforms. I wanted a Sega, I wanted Nintendo.
Yep.
Right? It's because now, as I've matured, right, not just as an adult, but as a gamer, I know myself and what type of games that I like and what type of games appeal to me. I can look at a game and be like, yeah, I know this is for me or this is not for me. And currently, Xbox, they just don't produce enough games that appeal to me. Currently, PlayStation does. Nintendo does, especially this year, which is why I'm being called a Nintendo because I've been praising them all year. But yeah, it's just I'm particular with the games that I like, and hopefully Microsoft will get more games in the future. I'm looking forward to their Western RPGs because RPGs, that's my favorite genre.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to the Western RPGs, not necessarily Starfield, but there are other Western RPGs. But
yeah, same here. No, same here, Chris.
We'll see. Yeah. Let's see what they do. No,
I really think Chris puts it well there. I really do agree. I'm looking forward to it. Starfield really doesn't look like it's going to be something that I'm necessarily looking forward to, but the other Western RPGs that they have coming down the pipe look to be something that definitely intrigues me. So that's very cool. I definitely, again, Chris makes a good point. As you kind of grow and you game.
And before.
Go ahead, Dark.
Before we get out of here, Brap, tell your mom I'm gonna be over there in 30 minutes, okay?
Oh, there it
so
is.
Get ready, all right?
Well, Brap, I guess
tell her to put the handcuffs on, all right? Just
you know what? You know what? Let me just tell you something, Dark. You must like sloppy seconds, so okay, that's fine. Man. I'll let her know, man. I'll let her know.
Well, the great Brap. Brap, go ahead, please. I mean, you've literally been the star of the show.
He doesn't even know what to say after that. He's just like, I have no...
Me and Chris are sitting here as the mama jokes are going back and forth. Me and Chris are the people like standing next to you guys going, oh, shit. You know what I mean? And we're like,
I'll tell you.
The camera pans to me. What do you want me to do? You know?
You know what's going to happen? Like, me and Dark Anonymous are going to meet one day somewhere. We're going to be at a bar drinking fucking Coronas, and people are going to looking at us like with their mouths dropped because the only conversation we're going to have is your mama jokes.
That's it.
Yeah.
They're great, though.
Yeah. But it's going to be great.
Plug the channel. Let everybody know about where they can find the great Basement Radio Arcade podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Mooch. We are the great BRAP, Basement Radio K podcast on YouTube.
Good
You can
show
find us
Wednesday.
on,
Great show Wednesday, by the way.
Thank you.
BRAP.
No, thank you. We had Hamp on. Hamp, who is
Hamp?
the artist formerly known as Game Logic.
I love how you say that. And the great Worry Wart.
Yeah, the great Worry joined us. That was awesome, by the way.
Worry actually just DM'd me. He said,
I love
hey,
him.
can I jump on? I said, Worry, we were just wrapping up discussion on the last topic. I said, you know what, Worry, let's try for next week. So shout out to Worry Wart.
Yeah, big shout out to Worry. I love Worry. He's super insightful. But yeah. Give me a follow at BRAP_podcast on the Twitters and on the YouTube, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And probably going to do a BRAP rant tomorrow night, I think. Probably like later on, like 9 o'clock. I'm thinking, I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, exactly.
It'll be a hot take. Trust me.
Oh no, it's gonna be spicy because the community gives me a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, they
certainly
do.
Well, and I'm basically
They
pointing.
give you a lot to talk about because you antagonize them. That's why.
You know what? Let me tell you something. When you come out and tell me that Sega and the Atari Jaguar, which was released right after, when you do that, I'm going to fucking make fun of you. I'm going to rant. Yeah,
well,
like
seriously, that's a whole nother podcast, Brad.
Brad be going, Brad, you be, I be seeing it on Twitter, man. You be going, and you be destroying these dudes logically. Like, you just be destroying the some of the crazy shit that I've seen from these people, man. Is, oh my god, I don't.
It's
to
wild,
me personally, if I'm writing a tweet like they write and I'm looking at it, I'll be embarrassed to hit send. I'll straight up be embarrassed to hit send writing tweets like that. I don't get it. But it's Twitter.
Chris, we have access.
Twitter.
We have access at our fingertips to information called the internet, and people are putting out shit that's not even true, and they're running with it like it's true. I'm like, no, you're wrong. And then when I tell them that they're wrong, they're like, oh, well, you're just making excuses for the company. No, I'm not making excuses. I'm telling you that what you're saying is actually historically inaccurate and false. So stop with that bullshit. Stop with the misinformation, disinformation, because like you're wrong. Google it. Like a simple Google search will show you this thing. Like Mooch,
it was. You know what? All I can say is it was.
What are we doing?
It was more fun.
It's my fault. It's my fault, Mooch. Get him.
I don't know. I just think it's crazy that in the age of information, having quick access to information,
yes,
society is dumber than ever before. I just find that crazy.
Chris, you know, ever see the movie Idiocracy? That's where we're at right now.
Yes,
and everyone's drinking Brondo. It's what plants want. Has electrolytes. And no, seriously, like it's crazy. I mean, like it's not just gaming; it's other areas too. But we have so much information.
I see it a lot in film, man.
But
I
bet
bet you do, Dark.
I'm sure you do, Artemis.
And you know what it is? It's mostly dudes on Twitter in the gaming community who think they know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to filmmaking, and they don't know fucking shit.
Right. Exactly. We had somebody argue Agent Deli, right? Who worked on I forget what it was. It was the Watch Dogs 2 video game. He worked on that game.
Yes.
We had somebody come in there and argue Deli that he was wrong about the development cycle of that game that he worked on. This is what we're dealing with in the gaming community. Not everyone, by the way, but there are people out there pushing false narratives because they go to certain podcasts. And oh my God, Mooch, I just had to bite my tongue. I was going to say certain podcasts. I'll tell you later when we go off air.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, but they are people who are just going to podcasts and taking whatever a podcast says as gospel. It's like, guys, fact check your podcasts. Just because it vibes with you or it's near, but you know what though, that goes back to IQ, and I'm not going to get into all that because people will get mad. So, but look,
yeah, dude, are we in the after show right now?
Yeah, no, we are.
We're still live. We're still live.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Mooch, I just, I like to believe that humans are smart, but they're not. And we have access to all this information. Yeah. Anyhow, I'm done.
Well,
So,
I think
thanks,
what
Mooch.
BRAP
Yeah.
just did was he said, "Tune in for his rant tomorrow night at 9."
Yeah.
That's what I just
Exactly,
heard.
Yeah. No, exactly,
No,
yeah.
BRAP, I completely hear it. I can't wait to
tune
hear
in.
your show tomorrow, buddy. I really can't wait. Guys, it's going to be a great weekend. Please stay tuned. Go over to twitch.tv/MoochTV. Drop the O's for zeros. It's M00CHTV. And follow me. We're going to be doing The Last of Us Part 1, and we're doing Warzone. I'm on a Twitch kick. I did it this week. I did it last week. We're going to keep going this weekend. I'm doing about between 2.5 to 3.5 hour each show. So we have a lot of fun over there. It really is a blast. I've got James joining me, and I believe the Great Delirium Blades may be joining me as well for Warzone this weekend. And then I'll, of course, be handling The Last of Us Part 1. And I'm going to up the difficulty. We're going to try it on Grounded, and we'll go through there. So I think it'll be more
you playing
fun.
on Survivor right now?
Yeah, and I want to up it because I got to be honest with you, I think it'll be more fun to show the audience me dying more often because it's not that difficult.
I mean,
but
you
it's not
die a lot in
Grounded.
Call of Duty too, so.
Well, I will be. Yeah, that's true. But that's a different. That's a different type of dying, Tark. That being said, guys, we'll see you guys next Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, right here on YouTube. Please, on the way out, hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button, and thank you for all the enjoyed this show comments in the chat, guys. It means the world to me that you guys are here, and I hope to see you this weekend on Twitch.tv, Mooch TV. That being said, guys, enjoy your weekend and peace out.